Good evening, Super League fans and managers across the globe, and Ryan's dog. Thank you very much for joining us. We're back with season 7 of the Super League, and and joined in the studio tonight by last season's champion or reigning champion, and now retired manager and now co-chairman, Ryan. Good evening, Ryan.
Good evening, Martin. Good evening, Super League.
And as tradition dictates, we are joined for the first broadcast of the season by Jamie Hopkins. Good evening, Jamie.
Evening all.
Very good to have you back. It's been a while.
Yeah, very long time. Too long.
Well, you're back now for tonight, and back live on the air with an upcoming project as well. Probably,
Yeah.
what did you mention on Thursday? You've got
Yeah, Thursday night, 9 o'clock. The game's gone. So yeah, we're looking forward to that. Myself, Duggan, and Wood. Say it has been a lot of planning into this the last couple of weeks. There's going to be little hints and tips now dropped throughout the week and other things in the build up to Thursday. But yeah, we hope everyone can join us on Thursday. Should be really good. Something a bit different to things that's been before. But anything CM related, I'm sure people will get involved with.
Yeah, I'm sure it will attract an audience. And briefly, just on the co-chairman, obviously, as you all know, Ryan has joined the Super League Towers. So a big congratulations to Ryan, obviously, for winning the league 2 years in a row. Impressive performance, and a huge thanks to that. I'm not bothered. It's great that Ryan's done it, but it's more of an achievement for him than for anyone else. With the thing I'm really grateful for is the thing I'm really grateful for is obviously Ryan's contribution in terms of setting up the new season. As we all know, the save was on its last legs, and we did need a new one. And this has all been Ryan's hard work setting all of this stuff up. I've had my comments and my requests, and basically one of the main ones were that every single squad should be playable out of the box, and the team should be fairly level regardless of how we did the draw. And I think Jamie, I don't think we can say anything. You can't put a finger on anything that Ryan's done in terms of all the pre-work. That would be my comment.
No, it's been outstanding. I think the quickness of it all as well. I think, every manager, when the new season started and, the kind of pots were announced and the excitement was building, I think everyone thought, it could be a couple of weeks till we get going. But the speed in which it's been done is credit, obviously, to him and you. And I'm sure everyone's grateful and just raring to get going tonight now.
Yeah, I'll take absolutely zero amount of credit for this, to be completely honest. Apart from being a sounding board on a few sort of like structural kind of changes, Ryan has done all of the hard work. So thanks very much, Ryan. I'm glad that you've moved on to Super League Towers with your wealth of experience and your hard work in Excel and elsewhere. So thanks very much for that.
No, I'm looking forward to it. It's I won't say it's been great fun, but I do enjoy delving into the editor, setting things up. So yeah, it's not been as grueling as you might think. And you've done all the teams for tonight. So I would say you can definitely take some of the credit there, and also if any of the teams are wrong, then probably take some of the blame.
Yeah, well, that would be par for the course, but that is true. I have done all the teams. I have been in touch with everyone. If you see any glaring errors, we will spend a little bit more time talking about the team. So we'll go straight into the games tonight. Well, we're 4 minutes in already. I say straight. We'll go fairly straight into the games tonight, and we'll spend a little bit longer talking about each squad. So if you spot anything, then I've got the comments up. Just give me a shout out, and we'll see how it goes. As we have, of course, a huge welcome to everyone in the comment section, which is very lively tonight. I guess that's due to the England game not going particularly well, but I haven't been following it. But it wasn't brilliant the last time I checked. So yeah, thank you very much for joining, and a huge welcome to all of the new guys, to the people who've joined as fans and supporters of the league for the first time, or semi-regular. I can see Lee, Andrew, a bunch of people there, and then obviously we've got the new managers. We've got Jens, who's the new Hools manager. He was assistant to Thiago last year, keeping the foreign influences. I think we were running a bit low on foreigners, apart from the chairman, obviously, but we've got a Norwegian in, so that's good. We're gonna have to count the Welsh and Scottish as well, Jamie. So. To make sure it kind of evens itself out.
We've got an Irishman in Kieran as well.
We've got an Irishman, yeah.
Got a Welshman. We're spreading ourselves about.
True, and then we've obviously got Steve Wright and Mr. Greaves joining the Super League as well as new managers for Dudley and Lokomotiv Boston, respectively. So yeah, 3 new managers in the season. It's going to be interesting, but obviously there's a bunch of familiar faces as well. We will go in the order that you see on the screen, but we will skip Astra and Dragons because, as tradition dictates, we're going to go with the co-commentators last, just to keep the morale up in case it doesn't go well. So the first game of this evening is going to be Bostock Stanley against Fulchester. Obviously, last season's finalists, well, under a slightly different name, under Palmerton Icost, and last season's just missing out on playoff spots. Scott's Chudley, well, they weren't really his Chudley Cannons, but Scott Sadler and his now Bostock Stanley. So let's have a quick look at Bostock first. This is the squad as you can see them here. He was obviously very keen to get Andre in, but I'll let you two guys talk through it because otherwise it's going to be another chairman monologue, and that's not why I've got you here, obviously. So feel free. The floor is yours to have a quick run through the Boston Stanley squad.
Am I right in saying, if my mind serves me correctly, he's tried to throw a curveball here, because when he posted his team on Twitter, I'm pretty sure he had a 4-4-2. Am I wrong there?
That's true. He did put a 4-4-2 up.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I thought his 4-4-2 was a bit, because I think he had Riquelme and Zidane, which I thought that was a bit bold. But yeah, looking at the formation, I think Maldini is a massive signing for him at the end of the window. I think Okaronko's not bad, but I think he got rid of 2 players who weren't great for a really quality defender, especially in the first season in Maldini. Zidane, again, is he going to be a manager who can finally get a tune out to Zidane? That will be interesting to see.
There's got to be one, hasn't there, Jamie? I mean, I don't know what it is with Zidane, how he's never performed in the Super League, but
yeah,
I mean, he's definitely got the ability. So
yeah, well, he's another one, I think, obviously, because when the squads were being drawn and everyone was kind of posting who was becoming available, obviously Wooder and Duggan, they tuned in kind of towards the end of last season, kind of watching a bit more regular, but they were straight away, oh, Zidane could be available, let's get on it. And I was a bit like, look, Zidane Super League is not normal Zidane. I think we need to, tread a bit careful there. But by the time we did make an inquiry, he'd already gone. But, as Ryan says there's got to be someone who's going to get a tune out of him. Vieri up front, we all know he's going to get the goals. Eto's, an interesting shout in behind first season. Could be maybe a bit young. I don't think it's a bad side. I don't think it's glittered with quality. The bench is, I wouldn't say it's super strong, but it's certainly not a bad side. But I think he's relying on, he's got to try and, those 3 centre midfielders, he's got to try and get a tune out of them, which Zidane and Riquelme has never been done. And Cole is another one who's been a bit hit and miss in Super League terms.
What do you think about Andre, the goalkeeper? He was obviously very keen on bringing him back in after he did him a brilliant favor in the second half of last season.
Yeah.
He had struggled with the keepers that he'd inherited from Tim, obviously, but he brought in Andre, and he seemed to bring some stability. He was a bit of an unknown character in terms of the Super League, but he did really well for Scott last season in the last sort of 12, 13 games.
Yeah,
I think it's a bit of loyalty, and I think it may be a little bit of misguided loyalty. He's obviously gets good, and I'm just looking at quick look on his stats on the game. I think he's got the potential to be a really good keeper, but whether because he played really well for Chudley Cannons last season, whether he can replicate that, especially when looking at Oscar Cordoba, Eleftheropoulos, who he's got available as well. I think Cordoba this season is a really solid keeper. And if I'm not mistaken, in reserves, he might have Ronald Waterus as well. He was at PSV at the start of the game, really solid goalkeeper, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Cudicini as well. I don't know if anyone rates Cudicini, but I don't think he's too bad. So, but yeah,
I mean,
well. we'll obviously see what he's got up his sleeve. He does have obviously Lizarazu to come back, which will free up Milevski, because he probably thinks the Welsh is a little bit young, which he still is. He could potentially have Duff playing that left hand wing back, but we'll see. Anyway, he's up against the Fulchester, and if we have a look at Macca's side, obviously. Let's have a look at at how he lines up and the starting 11 and the bench that he's got at his disposal here. Ryan, what do you make? You're obviously up against the Panathinaikos in last year's grand final, and the team that Mac has assembled here. Would you say that's an improvement on what he had at his disposal last year when he made the final?
He's got a lot of hit and miss players. I mean, it's the two up front of the two that which kind of raise the eyebrows really, because they're both potentially fantastic, but they're also both potentially garbage. So I know he made kind of a big deal at the end there where he brought Saviola in and got rid of Zinoni to Haggis, I believe, and I reckon that caused a bit of outrage among the fans saying what's going on here kind of thing.
Yeah.
But Saviola does have the potential to be absolutely class. Michael Owen, again, last couple of iterations of the Super League has never really. I won't say he's never performed well, but is that because of a lack of opportunity? Rivaldo I like, as I think he's got Paul Scholes as well, both good players, but both at the end of their careers. I'd probably say the same about Makaleli as well. And he's got a world-class keeper. And I don't know if Jamie wants to talk for Ryan Giggs, who was kind of your standout player last season, wasn't he?
Yeah, Giggs was outstanding for me, and I think where he's playing now, or even a bit further forward, I think he'll do a great job. I think, as Ryan said about the strikers, there they've both, got they've both got it, but they could be, top class. I think Owen has hit the nail on the head. I think he's been so poor everywhere he's gone that when he goes to a new team, they give him 1 or 2 games, and if he struggles straight away, he's kind of binned like I did with him. So it'd be interesting to see if he does try and give him a run of games. But I certainly would have started Rossini, who I think he's got more goals in him than both of them too. It is interesting. Obviously, he's got Scholes on the bench. Obviously, I traded him Scholes for Ibrahim Said. Obviously, again, it is different opinions. Obviously, Maka did say that Said has never really done it for him, which is fair. But in my opinion,
I know Macca's not a fan of what he calls the kind of I think he calls them cheap player, the legends kind of thing.
Yeah.
So he's one who does try and avoid the people like the Said and your Tizalcos and Madeiras, whatever.
Mike Duff, Neil Scally.
But I think 90% of managers would put Ibrahim Said over both defensive midfielders and both centre halves. I think there's certainly a place in there for Ibrahim Said. And if he was playing Paul Scholes, I maybe wouldn't have said so much. But obviously, if Scholes, although he is obviously a good substitute to bring on, I just think maybe the centre halves aren't the strongest.
I thought he would have started him, but I mean, I thought Scholes would be starting, and he's made that transfer for Said, who could basically he could have got a bigger fee, in my opinion, if he'd have waited a little bit and tested the market for Said.
Yeah, I agree. Because obviously Maka may not like the legends, but I think everyone else does. So I think Ryan's hit the nail on the head. Then if he had held out and maybe had gone a bit more private and said Ibrahim Said is available, I think he would have possibly got better than Paul Scholes.
Oh well, we'll see. We'll see how how Scholes performs if he does come on. But he's obviously pleased with Butt and Makaleli, Yepes Valgarin, not bad players either. But as you say, most managers would probably have picked Ibrahim Said to start in at least 3 of those 4, over 3 of those 4. So, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Nicky Butt has always done well in Super League teams, so I think Nicky Butt is a solid player.
Nicky Butt was instrumental for him in last season getting to the final, so I can understand how he would have kept him on. But maybe Makaleli is definitely not bad season 1 player either, but Said is maybe just he's got that kind of name about him. But anyway, let's see how we get. Let's see if I can. Right, let's do this again. Let's see.
Why you're starting it out, Martin? Interesting that he's gone with Biscan at the right wing back position. I'm just at the top. He's got Andre Uja, Edmilson, Belletti, and Lamy, who are all kind of right-sided defenders slash midfielders in his reserves, and he's got. I'm a big fan of Torricelli at the start of the game for season 1. I think he's class. And Prutton, who can't get in the squad. But I'm not a fan of Biscount on the right wing back, so that would be it.
I do like David Prutton as well, as Ryan said. I do think Prutton's a very good player.
He's one of the he's a Forest, isn't he? Like one of those kind of ones that you can get at a not too bad a price. Well, anyway, guys, your predictions for this one. I can see that Al think is a 1-1. Jens is going with a 2-1 home win. 2-1 for the away side. Greaves is saying 2-0 home. It's fairly evenly matched in the comments. What do you guys think, Ryan? I'll let you go first. Your opponents from last year's final.
Yeah, I don't know if I should be having too much. I'll probably say a score draw for this one. I don't want to stick my neck out too much.
And what do you reckon, Jamie?
Home win, just edging it.
Home win, right? Well, we're back on very fast speed, so we'll see if we can keep up. Let's see how it goes as we kick off the first game of season 7 of the Super League. We will have a new winner, obviously, at the end of it, but let's see who gets off to the best start: Bostock Stanley or Fulchester. Early yellow card for Dicky Butt there, and a bit of action. Oh, and an early red card, and it's Bilevsky who gets a red. I'm not sure if we've got Scott in the comments. Obviously, under the new rules, we can consult the managers in the event of a red card.
Yeah, I can see he posted a comment earlier saying that he changed it last minute. Yeah.
Yeah, you've done that.
Like this? I'll just let him reply.
Yeah.
We'll see if he's happy with this. Well, he's obviously clearly not going to be happy with it. Milevsky off after 5 minutes. That's a dramatic start.
It's a big blow.
Well, let's see if they can recover from this. Oh, now it's going back to Maka. Oh well, that evened
wow.
That evened out fairly quickly. I'm not sure if Chris Mack's here. Otherwise, I'll just move Makalele into the middle. I'll give him a couple of seconds to correct me if he's on there.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen him. Oh, he is here.
Oh, he is, yeah. Is that okay, or does he want anything else done? Right, we've got questions about who is refereeing this one. Someone's going to have to make a note of this name.
Yeah, he's instrument.
Maka, the question is, mate, are you happy with Claude Makalele being the centre?
That's fine. He says that's fine. Okay, cool. Well, off we go then.
I did notice Nicky, but he got a yellow, then got a warning straight away. So
yeah,
he did that.
I noticed that before. Obviously, Milevsky even got booked. I think that was or sent off. So yeah.
It's Jeremy Oliphant is the referee in charge of the action tonight. There's been a bunch of chances at both ends, or certainly a lot of passing. Whether it was chances or not, we'll see at half time. But
all the yellow cards.
Eto picking up a yellow there. My goodness.
This is a great game.
I mean, action-packed from the first minute. We've had 5 shots from Bostock Stanley, none on target. Fulchester with 4 and 3, fairly even in terms of pass completion, and not a lot of offsides, which is surprising because normally we get loads of them in the Super League. Let's see how it's been spread out. Fulchester with most of the possession, but not really. I mean, most of the play in the middle of the park. And we'll see how the red cards came about. Eto was knocked to the so Nicky Bott was on a yellow after 2 minutes. Milevsky got a red card for holding back Michael Owen, and Nicky Bott clattered Zidane. So okay, so that was just a second yellow.
Wow.
Well, that was that was pretty much all in terms of the action. Let's see how the players stack up in terms of their stats. Jamie, what do you reckon to Bostock Stanley's first half performance? Not really a whole lot to write home about.
Yeah, it didn't seem, obviously much action or much, many close chances there. I say Eto, was one where I thought possibly is he going to struggle maybe in that AMC role. Obviously he's playing a 6 and got booked, which isn't great. So yeah, it's been a bit of well, obviously in terms of quality, it's been a bit drab. Obviously lots of entertainment with the red and yellow cards, but I think it's not much to write home about in terms of quality.
No, not really. And Ryan, what do you make of Fulchester's performance? Pretty similar. They've had slightly better shots in terms of shots on target, but not much to write home about either.
No, 6s and 7s across the board. Similar to what Jamie was just saying. Saviola being the threat. Michael Owen's not had many touches. Or He's had more touches than Saviola, but none of them towards the goal.
He hasn't a shot on goal, is he?
No.
And hardly any tackles
yeah.
either.
Let's crack on, see what happens.
Yeah, let's crack on and see the second half if things pick up a little bit. I mean, in terms of excitement, pretty good. In terms of goals, maybe not the best start for the Super League, not the best advertisement. But let's see if things pick up in the second half. We're 5 minutes in, and there's already chances for both sides.
A bit more like it, especially the home team. Bostock seem to be come out very strong second half.
Yeah, they're definitely putting the pressure on, but they do have Buffon in goal down at Fulchester Center. Oh, but there is Vieri. Scores on his debut. There's going to be a lot of debut goals tonight, obviously.
Yeah.
Let's see if anything else. And then it kind of flew past a little bit. Let's see if there's a way back into this for Fulchester. There isn't. It finishes 1-0. Bostock Stanley, our first winners and league leaders in front of 49,000 people, obviously.
Did seem like they deserved it on the second half performance.
That was a huge performance, yeah. I mean, Fulchester haven't done hardly anything second half, in the attacking end, but it was all Bostock. I saw a lot of Zidane's name.
Yeah, I was just going to say Zidane seemed heavily involved, but I think the difference is the level in quality of strikers. I think Vieri compared to Saviola and Owen is a different level, which is obviously proved tonight with him getting the goal.
Yeah, and the distribution of the ball a little bit more down towards the Fulchester end, as we saw in terms of the chances. Let's see how the goal came about. I think it was it was a cross from Cole, so it seems to have worked out well to put Cole out on that side. He's obviously someone who played for Devils, and I gave him a lot of stick, but he's actually not a bad player, is he really? And a great cross by him there. Let's see how the stats developed in the second half. Was it Joe Cole? I thought it was the Ashley Cole. All right, okay. I stand corrected.
Cole,
Joe Cole. All right, Joe Cole on the wing back. Okay, stand corrected. Well done, Joe Cole. Christian Vieri getting the goal out of his 5 shots.
Yeah.
That Joe Cole's performance at wing back will give Scott some food for thought there, I think, because obviously he's only been playing there because he's had a red card. And obviously Milewski was in there because Lizarazu was injured. So I won't be surprised if we saw Joe Cole there again next week.
Gosh, it's Lizarazu. Yeah, I don't know where I got the Ashley Cole connection from, to be honest. Maybe A. Milewski and J. Cole. I don't know where that came from. But either way, we have seen that those attacking players do really, really well. I mean, we already spoke about Ryan Giggs. Berea is another one that we'll probably see in that right wing back. He did very, very well for Chudley until he got angry and got sold, or wherever he was. Wasn't it Chudley? It was Churchtown, wasn't it? He started at and then went to Chudley. Yeah, so man of the match performance for Joe Cole and everyone else playing up quite well. As you mentioned, though, Jamie Samuel Etu perhaps not ideal in that position. In terms of Fulchester, I mean, I guess they can be grateful for Buffon in goal. 8 shots on target and only 1 goal for Bostock Stanley, so a 9 for him. But if you look at the rest of the guys, Yepes, Verong only a 6. That's not. I think it looks as if he's got too much defensive work to do there. Verong with 8 attempted tackles.
Yeah. Bishkam did well down the right hand side, but I think the main point for Fulchester really is the 2 strikers. I know, but I think they swapped around now. Saviola's finished on a 6 and Owen on a 7, but obviously 1 shot on goal for Owen is not great. It'll be interesting to see how long he sticks with them, because I do feel Rossini, and certainly in terms of Super League, Rossini is a far better option than both of them.
Mm-hmm. I mean, could an argument be made for the 2 striker thing having had its time in the Super League? Is there something about that as well? Is it something that people will struggle with? Is it more about the 1 striker, 2 AMCs, or even 3 strikers, as Churchill has had some success with?
Yeah, I think 1 striker or 3 strikers does seem to work in the Super League. If you've got 1 striker as good as Vieri, then I think you're all right.
Especially as pretty much everyone's going to play with 2 central defenders, and that's it, isn't it? So it's going to be man for man marking if you go up with the 2. But I don't know. I don't want to be the expert on it. So any final observations on this one before we?
I think we've been maybe a little bit quick to drive the nail into the coffin with Fulchester. It's the first game. It's an away game. There's been a change because they both had men sent off. So you mean as much as
yeah, I wouldn't write Fulchester off. I think they've got good options on the bench. Scholes and Rossini. I just think his personnel. I do think Saviola, you can definitely get goals out of him. It's just gonna. I think Michael Owen is the sticking point, but I certainly wouldn't write him off because he has got good options on the bench. I just think it's looking maybe to get the best out of Veron because he's definitely by far and away their star player. So need to get a formation maybe that's going to bring the best out of him. But I would say Scholes and Rossini would both improve that team.
Mm-hmm. Oh well, will be interesting to see what they do next week. Let's have a look at the at what the fixture list tell us. The fixture list tell us that next we go to Churchtown and they are hosting Spartak Sloths. So let's have a look and see what Kieran has come up with. Obviously, here is Ashley Cole that I was talking about before. He hasn't had a captain, said he wants the game to pick that, so that's fine. Free scoring last season, but it kind of fell off came off the rails a little bit towards the end. Ruud van Nistelrooy picked up an injury, was out for 3 weeks, and then it kind of fizzled out their championship challenge. What do we make of Churchtown and the squad they've got at their disposal this year? Is it a slight downgrade on what he had last season, or what do you think about it?
My concern is initially he's done all right in the draw, but I think he's downgraded on a couple of trades he's done. I know the Davids for Ashley Cole one raised eyebrows, and then I look at this 11 here, and I've got big concerns really for Churchtown and Kieran's lads. Don't think Lehman. I know he did well for Astor last season. Don't think he's a class goalkeeper. I think Cristiano Zanetti, is he good enough? Brett Emerson, is he old enough? Henningberg and Terry, I think, are solid, but yeah. And then I also look at his bench, and not his bench, his squad, and Pablo Aimar not getting a look in, Esteban Cambiaso, Massimo Donati, just to name a couple. I know he's got Mendes de Silva in the reserves as well, I think, and Samuel Kuffour is another one. I just don't know what Kieran's doing
here. Where is Patrick Aimar? Where is Pablo Aimar? Is he not? Is he injured? Is he?
No, he's fine.
Is he?
He's not picked.
He's relying on Pires and Cristiano Doni as the AMCs, and then obviously doubling up with Edilson on the bench and Pauve. So yeah, that's the selection. So we'll see.
And baffled.
I think Kieran's fantastic, but I had a quick look at these formations before the show, and I couldn't believe what he was going with tonight. But yeah, there we are. I was noticed Dimble's mentioned 30 minutes one game. We will try and speed up. I do apologise.
Yeah.
I think the only point I will make, exactly as Ryan said previously about Ibrahim Said, I feel, obviously I spoke to Kieran because he was trying to get Baumer off me, and I was desperate to get Pablo Aimar, so I tried to switch, and he was like, there's no chance Aimar's going, so I'm not quite sure how he's not playing. But I feel if he had kind of said, look, I'm willing to let Edgar Davids go for a left-sided player, I think he would have got a lot better than Ashley Cole.
According to Kieran in the comments, he actually genuinely forgot that he had him when he set the squad up. So I don't know if that's entirely
not
true.
You forget about your best player.
We'll see how it goes. He's up against the Sloths, obviously, another sometimes a controversial manager, but he's obviously been helped with. I say helped. He's obviously had Palmer at his disposal to come up with something for this particular season. So yeah,
he's come up with a Boise tactic.
Yeah, I think he played this one.
He used Boise's winning formation in his last season.
Yeah, he played this one, I think for the second half of the last season, and I think it got him up to like 9th or 10th place or something like that in the end. So hopefully it'll work out for him. How do you rate the squad? I mean, there's something for everyone in here, isn't there? There's some proper legends, hardcore superstars, and then there's some players that you might not necessarily expect. I mean, I know Ebbe Sand was he is Danish and he was one of the top scorers in the Super League season 1, but I'd perhaps not expected him to see him starting tonight.
Yeah, you're definitely right there. It has got a mix of legends, David Collins, Neil Scally, and then along the likes of Zirabert, who I think is, he's going to be great in that position that they've got in there. Tomasi's obviously, a quality Super League player. Desai early on, a lot of experience. And I do like Ebisand up front. I think he's not a household name, but I do think he gets goals, and especially one up front. I think Del Piero maybe in the AMC will they get the goals out of him? Obviously, you've got David Collins from myself, who we swapped with Mark Kerr. So yeah, it's got a bit of a variety in this team, so it'll be interesting to see how they do.
Yeah, and Salihamidzic is obviously someone that Palmer likes a lot,
Yeah.
I think. So it'll be interesting to see how he goes. Tomasi as well. Coco plays in there. I think Lee Young-pyo was meant to start, but he's injured. He's obviously another half decent player that didn't have the best seasons in the Super League before. But we'll see how it goes. I mean, it's an interesting lineup, interesting formation. He's got Abiati in goal as well. Who, I mean, I don't know if he's got Van der Sar. I'm not sure who else he's got. And Esteban. Okay, maybe they're not.
I like Fiore, the only player looking at that team. I really like Fiore, who I think could have got in that team possibly. Obviously Palermo
He should
as
have
well.
definitely got in that team. Definitely should have got in that team.
Was that Fiore?
Yeah, Fiore. Yeah.
I think it's.
I know David Collins is a legend, but you can't put David Collins in ahead of Fiore.
I'm surprised. I'm really surprised that he hasn't got Palermo on the bench either. I think, if something was to happen to Sand, Palermo would have been the obvious replacement.
Yeah.
I know you could put Del Piero and Collins up top. I know that, but I certainly would have had Palermo on the bench. He is a very strong player.
And he's got Guerrero as well, who could potentially play. But we'll see. I mean, who are we to judge? Obviously, let's see how we get on with the game here. And it's gonna be Zanetti. Obviously, I'm not sure why I didn't just pick that for him. But anyway, predictions are everyone thinks it's going to be a draw basically. Apart from Lee, who thinks it's going to be 3-1 win. Alf predicts an away win. Guys, your predictions before we kick this off?
Score draw.
Score draw as well, Ryan.
Oh, I think Sloths might sneak this away win.
It's cousin Boyd McGregor in charge. So let's see. Let's kick this one off and see how we go in the first half. It's Churchtown against Spartak Sloths, the rebranded franchise. We've got a few of them, obviously. Looks like a half decent start for Sloths. They had a couple of chances there. Sand with one or two.
I do notice that the colour red that we've selected for him is the same as the red card red.
Ooh, and it's Tom Madeira who scores on his debut.
Goes.
We're in the process of being proven wrong in terms of Churchtown's front three, maybe. We'll see.
No, I think the striker is very good. I think the AMCs is where the issue lies. I just, again, Kieran is normally one who's got his, there we are, AMCs.
Right. I mean, I would just move Pires centrally. Kieran, you've got 30 seconds to object or to come up with something else. Headbutt. Yeah, that's what happens. Uncle Boyd's not taking any prisoners here. Fortunately, in the Australian League, everything is only a one-match suspension. So that's how it goes. What do you make of it? What do you make of that, guys?
I think Kieran's been on top. I think the Sloths did have a bit of a decent start, as you said, but I think Kieran has been on top. I think Tom Madeira is definitely a good goal scorer in the Super League. But yeah, this could really give Sloths obviously a chance moving into the second half.
Well, we'll see. They could obviously have they could get a red card there back, just as they did the other one.
Kieran's not said anything, but I think we just go with what Martin's done there.
Yeah, it looks reasonable. I mean, we're nearly at halftime anyway, so we'll have a quick look at what actually happened there in terms of the goals. Did it say that it was Cole? It was another Cole assist. So so far, 2 goals, 2 assists from Cole, 1 from Ashley and 1 from Joe. Tom Madeira beat Abiati to the ball, very good. And then obviously we had the was it a headbutt? Oh, he was punched in the face. It wasn't a headbutt.
Just as bad.
Goalkeeper as well. The goalkeeper's gone down. That's
Aussie rules. Aussie rules. That's just how it is. So yeah, very good, very good. Ed is a camera going nuts with the red snap leg at some point. Well, we'll see what happens.
Martin, am I not right in thinking that obviously there's an automatic one match ban, but they sometimes review it and say that he's been given an additional 3 games, or am I just thinking of a
I've
different
never
league?
seen that in maybe in 3968, but definitely not in the original database.
Right, might be wrong.
Not that I've seen anyway, and I usually appeal them if people ask for it, obviously. Right, let's have a quick look. So Jens Lehmann, Ashley Cole doing really well, John Terry doing really, really well. Donny on a 6, sent off Robert Pires on a 6. Yeah, so the AMC is not doing particularly well, but the rest of the team working really well in the first half.
Yeah, it's been a decent performance. Nothing outstanding. Obviously going forward, obviously Tomadira, 2 shots, 2 on target, 1 goal. He's going to be happy with that. It's just going to be interesting now to see if Sloths with the man advantage. Well, they need to keep it, not like Mark unfortunately did with his lot and give it the advantage up straight away. But decent from Kieran, yeah.
Yeah, and in terms of obviously Sloths coming back into it with a bunch of shots after the goal from Churchtown, but sort of in terms of efficiency, it's been very similar.
Yeah.
Not a lot of football being played down in in Sloths area. Let's see how their players are just not performing that well. If you look at say Roberto, you pointed him out earlier. He's had 3 shots, all 3 on target. He's had as many shots on target as he's had successful passes, which is not really what you want to see from from one of your creative players, is it?
No.
David Collins and Sand not exactly setting the world alight either.
No.
Yeah,
yes.
very lackadaisical performance from Sloths. Just seem to be shooting on sight, but without actually creating too much. So, yeah, I don't think we can read too much into the amount of shots on target they're having, or shots as well.
No.
Not if they're coming in from every angle. But let's kick off the second half and see if Sloths can find a way back into it. Obviously, they need to keep all 10 players on the pitch, and they have been quite prone to red cards themselves in the past. So let's see what happens. Oh, the first 25 minutes just exploded, and then the next 10.
Whoa.
I'm not sure what happened there. We've got 5 minutes left. You need to. Oh, and it's Tomadira as well, getting his second of the evening. And here is Ebesand. Oh no, Ebesand had it ruled out for offside, and then it finished. What happened in the second half? My goodness.
Yeah.
It does happen sometimes, doesn't it? It flies past occasionally. Yeah, so not much in terms of chances. That was very, very quick. Not sure, not entirely sure what happened there. I have seen like full, complete blank second halves in the past, but not in the Super League.
No, that was. I think I blinked and it was on 83 minutes.
Yeah, it goes here from 45 to 75, and then to 84. I don't know. Maybe Churchtown just passed it round at the back. Who knows? Well, we'll see the player stats in a second. And then obviously we had a goal, and it was Tomadera with a bit of a solo effort there. Obviously went by the utterly useless Scally, who for some reason people insist on including in the Super League. But there we go. Tomadera scored with a lovely strike, and then Ebesand had a good chance and scored actually, but it was ruled out. David Collins straight fractionally offside. Let's see if there's any hints and tips in the. I mean, there's a lot of passing of the defensive players of Churchtown. Maybe that's where the ball was that whole second half. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I think it was a really strong defensively performance. I still, well done to Kieran. It's a great start. I still think, obviously he's forgot about Pablo Aymar. So when you've got your best player in your whole squad to come back, I think it's only going to improve you. I think he'll have maybe look at his tactics, because I don't think Donny or Perez are really good enough in that AMC role. But obviously he's got Aymar and Tomadira. So yes, he's going to be delighted, especially with the performance from the defence. I think it's the Sloths who have got a lot of thinking, because if you look, go on.
Sorry, considering then like the amount of money you can pick up Madeira for at the start of the game,
yeah,
and we're putting him into this league with all the best players in the game, then he's done it every single time, hasn't he? I mean, Cizalco's been hit and miss, but Madeira just seems to work in the Super League, and it proves here again. So
thrives on the.
I agree to Tomadira. If I had one of them in the Super League, previous versions, if you give me the option of one now, it would be Tomadira, because he is one of the ones who does do it. And obviously David Collins, unfortunately, isn't one that regularly does it. And
I was gonna say if we move on to it, I mean, being a little bit harsh on Neil Scally there. Apparently, he did get a 9. I'm not sure how he gets a 9 for completing less than 50% of his his tackles and just over 50% of his passes. But we'll let that slide. Some a little bit of poor.
6 key tackles, I think, is the reason he's got a 9. He must have done a lot of last-ditch defending.
Yeah. Tomasi's
yeah.
the interesting one. This is a formation that I played a lot. And when I had Tomasi, and every time he played in that kind of DMRC with a line going forward, he was always rubbish for me. So I think that's something that Sloths will need to look at. But I think they need to look at it as well, because I think Palermo and Fiore are a two that I would certainly be. Well, especially Fiore, he'd 100% be in my team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and let's just
Kieran's request. I'm just going to go back and just a bit more praise for Joe Cole in that first game. I think he had an absolute storm.
Yeah, man of the match, wasn't he, in that first game, Joe Cole?
Well,
yeah.
His entire defensive outfit, including Ashley Cole, played very well.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. No, Ashley Cole had a great game, obviously. As mentioned in the first game, when I mistook him for Joe Cole, he did have a fairly decent season at Swindon Devils under difficult circumstances, and obviously has done well for Kieran tonight, getting that assist. So well done to Mr. Cole there. Moving swiftly on, let's see who we've got up next. We do have another 5 games to get through, and we're 40 minutes in. So so everything's going to plan. We have Dudley Hill against the Haggis Hunters.
We've picked up the pace a little bit. We'll do this. It's fine.
Yeah. It's only the Super League is only for the purists, really. It is just for the shit talkers and the purists. We've got Dudley Hill, so this is an exciting one because this is one of our new managers, obviously. Steve Wright, I believe, is the Dudley Hill manager, and he's up against the Haggis Hunters, who's still under the under the expert guidance of several people, as far as I can work out.
Yeah, the only person that's got more backroom staff than myself.
Well, we'll see. So let's have a quick look at Dudley. Let's see if we can move on to Dudley Hill now. Here we go. And have a look at his tactics and lineup. He's got, I mean, looking at his options. So he's got Ronaldo, he's got Tony, he's got Anelka, and he's got Viduka up front. And Jamie, with your experience of managing Viduka, are you surprised to see that he's gone with Viduka as the starting striking option?
Obviously, Steve's a Leeds fan, so I imagine he quite regularly, would play as Leeds. And obviously, when we had the preview show on Friday, he said that he always gets a lot of joy out of him. So if it had been anyone else, then probably I would be surprised. But the fact that he is a Leeds fan, I probably would say, he remembers Viduka fondly from that time. I'm maybe not as shocked, especially, when with the success that he's saying he has got from him in his home saves. And when obviously you look at Ronaldo never really does it at Super League level. Luca Toni's not bad, but yeah, I'm not surprised he's gone with Viduka, with who it is anyway.
Mm-hmm. And he's got Tony Adams at the at the back there. Season 1.
That's one of the things that I like about how we've done the Super League, and that means that we've been able to include a few of the kind of older players. I think Tony Adams season 1, especially the first half of season 1, is as good as anyone else back there. I think he's solid.
I think more people have done it this time as well. They've looked at people who think, who's going to be, maybe 1 or 2 seasons I'll get the best of. But I agree with Ryan. There won't be many better than Tony Adams, season 1. So I think he's a great shout. And with Ayala as well, I think they're, really strong partnership.
Yeah, Ayala's going to be super strong, isn't he?
One thing I will say is just his goalkeeper. I mean, Kiotis is fantastic, but he's not a season 1 goalkeeper.
Yeah.
In my opinion, and he's let Toldo go to Northern Burn. So I mean, but even his other options you've got to look at. Vedran Runje, I think, he's a solid keeper from Standard Liège. And then he's got Babos, I think, in the reserves. But yeah, I mean, I would have gone with Runje in net to start off. I probably would have given. Apart from that, I like the formation. I probably would have started Anelka or Ronaldo ahead of Viduka. But I could, obviously, knowing he's a Leeds fan, and after what Jamie said, I can understand why.
And as Neil points out there, Anelka already unhappy. Yep, that is true. Anelka is definitely unhappy. It didn't take long.
It's just a contract thing. It's just a contract thing.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how that goes.
Be interesting to see how Roberto Carlos does in that formation where he's playing in the kind of DMC. I know a lot of other players have done, like Candelas and Zanetti's and those types. So it'll be interesting because I do like Hack and Mild, and I think when he was with Asta and he played in those DMC roles, he was always, quality. So I think
Always solid.
Mild will definitely be an option for Dudley.
Okay, well, hopefully for Steve Wright, he'll have a successful first night out. We'll see who he's up. Well, we won't see who he's obviously up against the Hackers Hunters. It's a strong squad. I'm not going to lie. It's a strong squad. They've got assembled here. They've got Patrick Vieira. They've got Henrik Larsson. They've got Mendieta.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of obviously Iker Casillas can be a bit hit and miss, but he's definitely a big game player. There's not a lot of bad players in this Hackers Hunter side, is there?
No, they've done some really good business. Just for Kieran's benefit, BSE stands for British Sporting Elite, I believe. I look at that team and I think it's solid, especially across that DM line. We all know that Ian likes his defensive midfielder, and he's gone with like a really solid defensive. Vieira, obviously a huge pick. He's gone after Zinoni from Fulchester. He did that deal, I believe, with Bostock from Mendieta, and then the two wing backs are solid as well. He's also did. I think the other deal with Fulchester was to bring Larson in, which, I mean, it was a questionable deal at the time, but I think Larson can be absolutely solid in that attacking midfield role. I think the two positions you do worry about, or you do question really, are Marcelo Salas and Iker Casillas at both ends. For me, Casillas, season one, he's very young. He's liable for have a couple of howlers. And Salas, has he ever got the goals? Like you're talking 15, 16 a season in the Super League. Like you're looking at people playing like Rossini have, Sand have. I don't think I've ever seen that from Salas. So let's see what
I don't know what you make of it, Jamie. I mean, obviously, as Ryan mentioned there, from DCs to AMCs, pretty strong. But Salas and Casillas, question marks over them for you, or are they strong enough?
Yeah, I agree. Obviously, I know Ian obviously was very unhappy on the Friday night review show that we had, which obviously I think everyone kind of questioned Marcelo Salas, which I personally feel was right. I don't disagree with any of them. I think, as you say, the four DMCs are outstanding. They've got the best player in the game for me in Vieira. But I honestly believe if this was another team and they had Salas as their main striker and Ian was on you and you were asking him, he would be saying he's not that impressed with Salas. That's my honest opinion. I love Archie back. I think obviously if he produces the form that he produced early on for him last season, then he could get the goals that will fire up. But they've got an outstanding team in my opinion. I just they need to get Salas firing, otherwise it could haunt them in the bigger games. But otherwise, defensively, I think even their two centre halves are absolutely outstanding. That back six, I don't think anything in the Super League will beat that. But Salas is going to have to score the goals because obviously he's very upset with everyone the way they've talked about it. So the only way to shut everyone up is for Salas to score.
Yeah,
but I think everyone agrees with me that he's not clinical enough.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Chiesa is going to be. I mean, he has still. If you look at the kind of strange stat thing, Landon Donovan is the only one who comes close to Sigalko in terms of having those stats that gives you all the goals. So he could maybe bring on Landon Donovan, but we'll see. Your predictions for this one, guys. What do you? Oh, Robin needs a squad number for some reason. What do you think, Ryan? Home or away win?
Oh.
This is one of the toughest ones so far.
I feel like I'm sitting on the fence with a lot of them, but I think this is a big game, really.
Yeah.
If we're looking at this down the line, this might be a near top of the table game. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. I'm going to go score draw.
And Jamie?
I'm edging towards away win.
Well, we'll see. There's a lot of fence setting in the comments.
It's definitely one of the tightest ones to call. This is so far, anyway.
Right. Well, we'll kick it off and we'll see what happens. Its referee is called Minette, and we'll see if that results in red cards. Obviously, we've had 3 so far this evening, so let's see. Very strong start by Haggis Hunters. Lots of pressure put on Dudley Hill there. But they are coming back at them now. And there was Viduka with his first chance of the evening. Double chance even, I think. Mark Viduka again. He's really got that formation set up to get the ball straight up to
Yeah.
Viduka. Again, you saw him there. I think it's 3 or 4 times he's been up there already with attempts.
Well, Viduka is
Viduka
certainly
again.
heavily involved.
Very, very
Looks pretty
heavy.
strong here, actually,
Oh,
Dudley.
there it is.
Oh, but it's Salas. Oh, it's
obviously gonna
Salas
happen,
proving
wasn't it?
all the doubters wrong.
Written in the stars, wasn't it? Written in the stars.
Yeah,
That one.
it was always going to happen when I better say nothing.
Oh, I think it's a bit of a, I mean, I'm not gonna, I will call it and say it looks, to me, it looks like a bit of a champing. Let's have a look at the match stats for the first half.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, it was a massive. Viduka was heavily involved, wasn't he? He was.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, look at the tackling percentage for Dudley Hill as well. Pass completion. They've played. This is like a B-Tech performance of last season, outplaying, out tackling, out passing the opponents, and still somehow conspiring to lose, even though they had Buffon in goal. Action
We
zones.
did mention before the game, Kiotis. Is he a season 1 goalkeeper? Is he going to regret selling Toldo? I don't know. It's too early to say
Yeah.
so far.
I mean,
But
it's early to see, but let's see how the goal came about. Obviously, just a loose ball picked up by Salas. Maybe not so much the keeper could do about it. Let's have a look. I mean, he just get a 6. Edgar Davids is on an 8. Viduka's had 4 shots, all 4 on target, so not really perhaps his fault that he's not scored. That's been a good goalkeeping performance from Casillas down at the other end. Anything else, Jamie? Anything that stands out to you with Dudley in that first half performance? Davids obviously doing well, but apart from that, it's been a bit.
Yeah, it's just been a bit, as you say. Obviously, Totti on a 6. Roberto Carlos on a 6, as I did say. I wondered how Carlos would do. But Viduka, as I know, was 4 shots, 4 on target, but he's only playing a 7. He was heavily involved, but I think obviously the way Dudley are playing at the minute, they're well on top. They just need those attacking players, to start performing.
Yeah, just burst that bubble a little bit. Haggis Hunters, not a great performance from them. Obviously, big Paddy getting an 8 at halftime. Ryan, what have they got to do in the second half? Just hold on and hope for another counter, or that's a little bit risky?
I think that's risky. I would be interesting to see what Dudley would have played. I mean, I think we put a video saying he changed his formation last minute to be a bit more defensive. Haggis. You're looking at Vieira and Casillas with the 2 top performances there. Obviously, Casillas saving the shots and Vieira limiting the amount, but they haven't really got anything offensively going. Obviously, the only goal came from a loose ball. They obviously need to keep the ball a little bit more and try and bring Back and Larson into the game in a more creative manner. Mendes has hardly not had kind of pulled up any trees either.
I do agree with Dudley being a bit defensive, as you say. I think they could have maybe taken Van der Vaart out to the centre midfield and played either 2 AMCs or 2 strikers with an AMC. I do think, with 3 DMCs and then an MC, I do think. I know obviously they got Robin and Ljungberg, going down the flanks, but I do feel it is a bit defensive.
Yeah. I mean, it's a strong formation, no doubt about it. But we have seen that backfire a little bit if people have gone defensive in the Super League, especially at home. But let's kick off the second half and see if Dudley can obviously find a way to the back of the net. Totti with a bicycle kick and Viduka. Oh, there's a penalty claim turned down there. Viduka again. Salas down the other end.
I get the feeling it's not happening. I just feel it just.
Viduka's just having one of those games, isn't he? He's having a Dragon Destroyer's nightmare again.
He's having a Dragon Destroyer's night. It definitely looks like it. I think he's on 6 or 7 shots. There's another shot from him. I mean,
there's definitely a champ in there. It seemed to me anyway.
Yeah, you get the feeling they could have played for a week
one shot on target. It's.
Oh, I mean, they'll take it. Obviously, the Scots will take it. Obviously, they'll be happy enough with the result, but the performance is going to have to give give the management team of Neil and Ian something to think about there, to be honest, because that's not gone well. I mean, 42% of tackles won when you've got Paddy Vieira on your side. That's very very disturbing. A little bit more even in the second half. Not really so much to look at in terms of the match report. We'll have a look at the stats instead. Mark Viduka, 8 shots, 6 on target, and not a single goal. Key Arjen Robben, absolutely dominant down the left-hand side. 4 key passes. They could have potentially all been assists. Van der Vaart, Ljungberg. I mean, he's not really done anything wrong apart from Vieira not converting the chances.
Viduka, yeah.
Oh, sorry, Viduka, yeah.
Yeah. I completely agree with what you just said there. I mean, they've been dominant. They've kind of ran that match from start to finish. I think if you take Van der Vaart out of that team and put Ronaldo in, give himself an extra option up front, then I think they win that. If he's just, for whatever reason, Viduka's not been able to find the back of the net and there's no one else up there to kind of support him, really.
Yeah, because Totti's another interesting one, isn't he? Is he a Super League player? I mean, should he be talked about as a brilliant Super League player? Because he was a little bit poor for Valen, to be honest, in those 2 seasons.
Yeah, he did it right for Valen. I think the first half of season 1 is probably the best I've ever seen him. But then he did drop off quite a lot, and I thought last year he was very average. I don't think he's been great in previous versions either. I think he's someone who's always looked as a marquee player, but yeah, I don't think he ever shines, should we say, at Super League level.
Yeah. And Casillas, obviously, champion last season with Bolton Phoenix getting the man of the match. If the man of the match gets an 8, it's not been a great game, has it? Paddy Vieira only making 3 tackles and only winning 1 of them. But I mean, they got the win, so they're going to be happy, aren't they?
Yeah, they've got to be happy. I mean, the two players which I mentioned pre-game out, the weak links, Casillas and Salas are the two.
The
two best performers.
Yeah.
It's always going to be like that, isn't it? But yeah, I think obviously they're talking big in the comments there. Champions performance, Mr. Campbell's just put. I think he'll have looked at that and actually thought, we've got away with one there.
Yeah, I agree.
But they'll take it, and you mean they'll have a look at that. And I was surprised if they go with that again next week. They might switch it up a little bit because they'll be concerned that they're going to lose more than they win playing like that. I mean, Casillas, first game of the season, big performance. It's when you get into the game 5, game 6, and he gets a bit bored, I think.
Yeah, I mean Henrik Larsson. If you got Larsson back, Mendieta 6.76, even in an away game, that's not going to be ideal. But having said that, it's 3 points on the board. It's 3 on the board, 37 down for a guaranteed playoff spot. So they'll obviously be happy with that. And Dudley, obviously a home game loss. That's never a good one because that's 3 points that are difficult to claw back at another time. But we'll see how Dudley get on. It's obviously a bit of a rough debut for the new boy here, but that's how it goes in the Super League. It's not all going to be singing and dancing and everything is rosy. We'll see another new manager coming up next. We've got Hull's Vikings against the Devils. So let's have a look at what Jens has come up with. He's obviously got an interesting squad at his disposal. One of the strongest squads, I thought, but they do have both Nikiforenko and Tigalko, who are really kind of game players, but maybe not like Super League players. Who knows? But we'll see how they're going attacking. I'll say that there's no no holds barred for the for the Hulls Vikings here.
That is proper.
What I think he's done, and fair play to him for doing it. He thought, who are my best 11 players? What positions do they play? And that's exactly where he's put them. So he's basically gone with he thinks 3 of his strikers are his best players. He's put them all in. Nikiforenko attacking midfield, Danielson, Beckham. I mean, that's how he's done it. I mean, it's brave. No arrows. He's got Franco in there. He's got three legends in that team who basically can be hit, they can be missed. So this could either go really, really well, or it could be an absolute disaster.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that I've never really rated David Beckham in the game, to be completely honest. But I noticed that in my recent Aberdeen kind of thing, I saw that he was doing absolutely fantastic things at Manchester United, hundreds of assists and things like that. So yeah, and as Ian Edwards points out, that Pizarro in a 3 Timor style, and Timor Shamrocks definitely got Pizarro scoring like crazy in that front 3 formation. But we'll see. Jamie, what do you make of the formation? A little bit attacking, maybe.
It is a little bit attacking, but I do agree with Ryan. He's looking. I'm going to get my best players on the pitch. The three strikers, definitely three of his best players. I love the two centre halves. I do like the two defensive midfielders as well. I think obviously the centre midfielders are going to be the issue. Again, Jens did speak on Friday night, kind of saying that he spoke to Thiago, who's basically never like Beckham, had him, tried to get rid of him. But he did say that in his formation, he thought Beckham was going to be one of his big players. So I don't know if he's maybe got certain instructions set up for Beckham, to try and get the best out of him. Obviously, he's gone captain as well. But I do like the formation. Sigalko, will he be another manager to get the best out of him? But I think Van Nistelrooy and Pizarro, especially in this formation previously, was top draw. So it is attacking, but sometimes you've got to get your best players on the pitch. So that's what he's doing.
Yeah, well, and we'll see if we'll see what Fifey's done in terms of his squad. Obviously, he's gone narrow as well.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I think everyone's going narrow now, aren't they?
Yeah,
Well, there's
different
certainly a lot
tactic every week,
there's a
isn't
lot of it around. He's got a much stronger squad at his disposal than what he had last year with the Devils. Obviously, Kibu, Montero, Brown, the back three. He's got Barry Ferguson at DMC, which is a bit of a surprise for me, but he's got good players there, hasn't he? Really.
Yeah.
And Ronaldinho, is someone going to get something out of Ronaldinho?
Ronaldinho, I think, is the main, because I think when the draw came out and Fifey drew Ronaldinho, you could see in his reaction, I think he looked disappointed. And obviously, when the draw was being made, I was on Skype with Wooder and Duggan, and I kind of said Ronaldinho is someone that we want to try and get, because I thought, looking at his reaction, but I think what's happened is he said that I think other people have probably clicked on the same as I have done, and I think he said everyone kind of made an offer for Ronaldinho, and I think that's kind of made Fifey think, do you know what? I think I need to keep him.
Yeah, people weren't
And get
able
it.
to keep the
Because
poker face on. It quickly became apparent that it wasn't as much of an L as he maybe thought. And when 20 people came in and went, oh, I see you weren't too keen on Ronaldinho. Maybe you want to do a yeah. I mean,
so I thought, because I was like, Bauma came out for me, and I could see Fifey was like, Gutner really wanted Bauma, so I said, we all kind of agreed straight away, let's try and trade Bauma for Ronaldinho. But I think obviously so many people went for Ronaldinho, they kind of thought, right, season one, I'm going to play him and hope he produces the form that he produced for Hools a couple of seasons ago when he was just out of this world in that AMC role.
Anyone else that stands out for you? Montero, he's obviously got him back. Very, very solid.
Yeah.
Liable to get sent off or at least get a yellow, but
Yeah, Montero and Chivo, I think, are really strong. I love Barry Ferguson, but I'm not sure in DMC. I've only ever played him in MC. So
I'd
it'd be
switch him with
interesting.
Kieran Dyer though.
Yeah, I probably would have done that as well, because I've never played Barry Ferguson in DMC, so I couldn't tell you what he's going to be like, but he could be really good. Interesting to see no Van Bronckhorst in the squad at all, because he was another one that I tried to get, but he wasn't having any of it, and he doesn't make the 14, which is a bit strange. But the
we'll
only other thing
see.
I noticed is he's got Dwight York, Mido, and Solskjaer all in the squad, and he relegated Vasiliuk to the reserves, which I thought was a bit strange, because I think he's better than certainly Mido and Solskjaer anyway. But obviously, it's each to their own.
Yeah, and
Yeah, Van Bronckhorst is in it
Was
as well.
another one. He was obviously one that they was, I don't know. Someone got Jermaine Defoe and wasn't happy with him, and he obviously ended up at the Devils. But he's in the.
You see, because looking at that squad for there, I don't think any of the players the Fifey's actually transferred in have even made the squad. Have they? Obviously, he's got Gravison, Janino, Melberg. Did he bring in Melberg? Have any of the
I think he
players?
brought in Melberg and Gravison.
And he brought in Janino. I know he brought in Janino because he said, and he brought in Roy Mackay. So I don't think any of the players he's actually brought in have even made the 14,
made the 14. Oh, well.
which is a bit strange. But he has got a strong starting 11, and definitely a lot stronger than the last game. So it will be interesting. This is another tough one to call.
Well, let's see. There's some 2-2 predictions, 6-5, 3-1s, a few other coming in, obviously. I'll let you guys. Jamie, you can go first for this one.
The Devils in the work yet.
I'm gonna go home win.
I think it's going to be a high scorer, but I think Hulls might just about have it. Yeah, go
let's
3-2,
have a
something like
right. Well, let's see if we get some goals in this one. Who's at home to Devils? Let's kick this one off. Oh, there's an aggressive start from the Devils. Hools are coming straight back at them. 10 minutes in, and it's Van Nistelrooy getting first goal of the season already for him. He obviously had a very good run last season towards being a top scorer with Martella, but then ran into that injury. Rebound to Zigalko. It's gone a little bit fast here.
Yeah, it did. It seemed to shoot away from about 15 to 35, 40. It just seemed to disappear.
Yeah, well, I mean, the two kind of mega narrow formations kind of canceling each other out as we've seen before, unfortunately. It looked very, very attacking and very interesting, but when they kind of match off against each other like that, it's just not a lot has happened really in terms of chances.
disappointing in the Devils going in the Phoenix red and yellow, not performing like Phoenix would.
And not performing. Let's have a look. It was Beckham who had a free kick towards goal. It was deflected off the wall. Van Nistelrooy picked up the loose ball. Did he get an assist? No, Beckham didn't get an assist for that. Sol Campbell, Thuram, Ndiaye, Ambrosini, as Fifey mentioned in the comments, the back four is quite scary, and they are, and they have done very, very well, those back four, and everyone else is kind of like sort of soldiered along and not done a whole lot. Nikiforenko and Tsigalko especially. Disappointing, I would suggest.
Yeah, it's been disappointing. I think, everyone's saying it's going to be a high scoring game, which I thought it was as well. But I think both teams, I think, Hools is 1-0 up, so he's not going to be as disappointed. But to not have a shot on goal in a half of football when you've got, the attack in place that the Devils have got, I think is very, very disappointing. It'd be interesting to see how long he stays with this narrow formation, because obviously he brought in Roy Mackay, which he said, obviously in the video that he put up, that he was desperate for a right-sided player. He tried desperately to get Asamoah from me as well, who's a right-sided player. And again, obviously if he's, sticking with this narrow formation, I'm not sure what the need for one was. But it'll be interesting how long he sticks with that. Yeah. Obviously, depending on the second half goals, I think will depend how long he'll stick with it.
Yeah, not a lot to.
What's wrong with Kieran Dyer on the right hand side?
Oh yeah, well he can play on the right hand side as well. Obviously, I mean there are options. Both players have gone narrow, and as we mentioned with Fulchester, it's the first game of the season, so we'll see. But anyway, let's not dwell too much on that first half performance from either side. Let's kick off the second half and see if we can get some more goals, a little bit more action here in this one. Greg Leverton could obviously stamp his authority on the game and start dishing out some reds, but it doesn't look like it so far. There was a yellow there though. It's a start and another one. And there's Olisa Debe getting one back for the Devils. So
one of my favorite players.
And he obviously did very well for Churchtown last season as well. He was one of his sort of 10, 12 goal a season strikers there, which is fine if you have 3 or 4.
Second half from Fifey though, much better.
Yeah, they're definitely. And there is Kieran Dyer, creative spark for him. Kieran Dyer getting a goal there. Beckham trying his best in terms of setting up goals for Hools with a lot of good passes and crosses in, but they've just not been able to get it past the Devils keeper there. They've just not had that kind of like killer instinct right at the end. Missing a little bit. Surprising perhaps considering it's Pizarro and Van Nistelrooy. Wow. Oh my goodness. That was a comeback.
The Devils have won away from home.
Devils kick off the season with an away win, and it's another defeat for one of the new boys. Great result for the Devils, and not a bad performance in the second half, was it? I mean,
no, it was a really good performance considering where they were at half time.
Let's see how the goals came about before we chat on about it. So Kuhl, one of the guys he's got in central midfield, a previous a Bolton player, obviously, with the ball into the area for Olisa Debe, who was unmarked and scored easily there, and then Emerson with the ball into the area for Kieran Dyer. Dyer was the scorer on that one. I'm not sure how Dyer made it in there, but either way he did. And then it didn't fizzle out. Hools had a bunch of chances at the end, but nothing big came of it. Let's have a look at the Hools performance first. So Ruud van Nistelrooy still gets man of the match. That's a little bit of a surprise, I would suggest.
Yeah, one shot on goal. I know he scored from it, but yeah, man of the match. That's a bit massive shock.
That's a lot of passing from him as well, and he did have a key pass. Nikiforenko, Pizarro, and Tsigalko.
What kind of stands out for me is the fact that the defenders have played really, really well and they might have been the ones which were kind of hindering the Devils' attack really in the first half. Because it looks like that. I mean, it looks like the Devils have probably been on top, but it's been the Hull's defence that have been kind of keeping them in the game, really. Obviously, 8's across the board there. They've obviously got someone who can put the goal on the net, put the ball in the net. So, yes, it's a good result for Fifey.
That's a great result for Fifey.
I think Jens will probably try and switch that tactic up a little bit. But, yeah.
I mean, he does have the players. He does have the players for it, I think. I mean, I'd be very interested in seeing someone going 3 across the middle, like three MCs, because I think he has got players that can play there. He's got Beckham, he's got that Gerrard chap on the bench, he's got Joey Gudjonsson, he's got a few. I think he could maybe put a few more in there. I'm not sure if the 3 strikers is really the way to go, but we'll see what he does. Let's jump over to Fifey's team and their performance and see. I mean, there's obviously it's a bit of hit and miss, but obviously it's the 2 hits that counts, and he's got Emerson and Kuhl with the assists, Oli Sadebe and Dyer with the goals there. So it worked out all right for Fifey in the end.
Yeah,
yes, very strong.
Yeah, you don't want to over-criticize at half time sometimes, as it kind of can come back to haunt you. But I don't think we were too harsh, and I think it was just a really solid team performance in the second half. I think that midfield worked really well. Dyer, Ferguson, Kuhl, all kind of coming into their own. Emerson as well, obviously. I mean, they've got a really strong squad this season, and if they can get them playing like they did in the second half there and keep that going, then there's no reason why Devils can't push up the league.
Yeah, Fifey's obviously a bit upset on things, and he said that he's played 3 centre midfielders and got criticism, which I don't think anyone's given the criticism from the three CMs that he played. I think I love Emerson. I love Kieran Dyer, who I do think is more of an AMRC than a DMRC. I know he says he's a DMRC, but I always have him. He always score goals. The only thing we said is that Barry Ferguson playing DMC is a bit strange to a lot of us who always play him MC. You know, look how good he was for Churchtown last year. He played in there on his own, and he was probably the best in the league. So I don't think anyone's criticising the 3 that Fifey picked of the formation. It's just Barry Ferguson, for me, is stronger than the 3 that he played there. And that again, that's just my opinion. But Fifey's got plenty of options. He's got a really strong squad. And as I say, away to Hools, that is a great start. But I think a lot of people are probably right on Nicky Forenko. He's one of my favourite players on the game, but Super League level, he's another one that is a bit of a myth, the same as Sigalko. You know, whereas Tomadira, as Ryan said earlier, always seems to deliver. Nicky Forenko and Sigalko, they don't really, or they haven't up until now anyway.
I don't think Nicky Forenko's been as bad as Tizalco, but
no,
I think
definitely not.
In general.
They've still got a chance to come good. Obviously, the AMC position is really strong, but there is a bit of kind of a flat track bully in the stats that they do have that makes them superior to pretty much, I would say, like 98% of the defenders that they are straight up against in normal home saves. But obviously, you know, you're playing Roma week in, week out here. So slightly different stats are required to some extent. I don't think that we'd expect them to see near the top of the top. I mean, just in the last 2 seasons, it's been Vincenzo Montella, it's been Van Nistelrooy, it's been the sort of more well-known players that have been top of the top scorers charts. Anyway, we've still got a couple of games to get through this evening. So let's have a look and see what we've got next. We have got it is this one. It is let us Lettersford. Is that how you say it? I'm not sure.
Yeah, Lettersford, I think. Yeah.
Against Lokomotiv Boston. So this is Hodges rebrand. Let's see where we've got them. There we go. He's going with. Is that the same formation as Sloths or similar?
Same as Sloths. Yeah.
Last season, top scorer Vincenzo Montella up top next to Filippo Inzaghi with Robbie Keane in behind. Robbie Keane, one of yours, Jamie, and Montella was yours, Ryan, last season. Montella, obviously top scorer in the Super League, so Hodgie will be delighted to have him at his disposal, considering the problems he had with consistency in terms of his striking partnerships last season.
Well, after the draw was done, there was a lot of kind of thing. Lettersford have a raw deal there. Now, I look at that team there, and I don't see a team that had a raw deal. I look at, 2 top-class strikers, in my opinion, 2 top 15, if not top 10 strikers in Montella and Inzaghi. Two of the top 5 DMCs and Decor and Vogel, Giuliano and Nesta's solid there. I think he's got a really good team. You could potentially question Sorin, is he as good as the rest? But he's got Volodenkov on the bench to come in there. I really like the Ledeswood team. I do. Robbie Keane obviously proven, especially as a 1 AM rather than in a 2. He did really well first season for Dragons, last iteration. I don't really see any kind of weak points in that team. Maybe if you look at the rest of his squad, he's not got the kind of the players to come in if anything goes wrong there. But for that first 11, I really like it.
Yeah. Any criticisms that you could have with this squad, Jamie, or you think it's pretty strong all round?
Yeah, it is strong. I probably would have Volodenkov over Sorin. I agree. Robbie Keane first season for me, along with Giggs, was my best player. So he's obviously looked at that thinking, one in the AMC was outstanding. The only question mark is going to be Montella has never really done it in a 2 when he plays up front on his own. I think that's always in Super League where he's been a lot better. So, and I think obviously that is something that Hodgie did allude to on Friday night as well. I think he's always been a lot. I think everyone who's had him previously, myself, I think when he was, Boise had him and everyone's kind of played him in a 2 up top and moved him on. I think Ryan played him a lot as a lone striker, and I think that's always when he's been best. So it will be interesting to see how he does with Inzaghi this season, or certainly to start off in this game.
Yeah, well, we'll see how he gets on. And then the last of our debutants, Mr. Greaves and Lokomotiv Boston. Yeah, where do we even be? I mean, it's an interesting formation. I think Amaka and Palmer both played something similar. I think to some extent with the 2-2, and then the kind of not random, but the stuff in front of them. It's another 2-7-1, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, it's not really, but they would call it that. But
close enough, yeah.
But close enough with the wide players, with Effenberg as the sole central midfielder. That's a bit of a brave one, isn't it? What do you think, Jamie?
It's all, obviously, I try not to criticize. I think the transfer dealings for Lokomotiv, other than Greavesy, and Greavesy's the only one that counts because it's his team. But I think everyone else is going to back me up, and well, certainly Ryan is, because obviously he's made a few comments when the deals were being done. I know it's each to their own, and everyone has their own favourites on the game. But I really can't get some of these transfer dealings. If you look at some of the players he's let go, I just think to myself, I don't know. I don't get it, but I do really like the 2 centre halves. I really like Martin Larsson. Obviously, Cannavaro, we know how good he is, and I do really like the 2 strikers in Amoroso and Elba. But I look at the rest and I just think, is this going to be a team? Mark Overmars, Contra, Effenberg as an MC.
I think Contra is proven solid player. I think the kind of criticism there might be right. And Overmars is pretty much an unknown quantity. The issue being he's a forward, isn't he? I think Overmars. I think he's got great stats.
Yeah.
So I'm quite interested to see how Overmars does. I spoke about him a lot in the kind of build up, but I think Emmanuel Petit.
Yes, you did. Yeah,
is a really, really solid player in there, and I think he's going to have a really good season.
Yeah.
Although I do kind of stand by things I said about a few of his transfer dealings. I don't think he's generally got that bad an 11 out there. I think it's really solid at the back. I think the wide players and strikers are good.
I think the squad is pretty strong, and I think it's also it's a difficult conversation to have around players like Overmars and Contra, because the Super League historically hasn't been flooded with wide players, apart from in the DML and DMR. It's obviously always been a bit of a thing, but there's not been a huge amount of MLs and MRs in the Super League. In certainly the last sort of 3 seasons, I don't know what it was like before, but certainly in the last 2 to 3 seasons, it's not been overly used. But some players or some managers have had success with them, obviously, and it'll be interesting for me. It's interesting anyway to see how Overmars gets on, because he was someone that I know a few people were asking about in the previous iteration of the Super League, but there's just not much like demand for those players that are like AMLs or the AMLC, yes, but in AML, is anyone going to get that? Or an FL? Does anyone buy FLs or FRs in the game? I doubt it, but So,
I do really like the strikers, though. I do feel there's plenty of goals up front for Lokomotiv.
I mean, I was going to say that's one of the things. Those are two strikers who, if you see them in the game, they are like 25, 30 goal a season strikers, both of them in
and
season
I
one,
think
aren't they?
the same as obviously Steve Wright with Viduka. Greavesy obviously on Friday did say how desperate he was to get Elba, because Elba's always the striker that he gets success from in his own personal saves. So it will be interesting to see how they do. But I am going to go for a home win.
Home win for you. And what do you think, Ryan? Home win for you as well? Or, I mean, it's a strong
I don't
side that
know.
Hodges got there.
I think I'm keen to say here, I like both of these teams. I think both of these teams will do well. Although I do think we're probably going to edge towards a home win tonight.
Right. Well, we'll have a go at Lettersford and Locomotive Boston. I do like the Locomotive colours. I do have to say.
Yeah.
If there's anything to go by,
Easy to
and
read.
we'll come back to the topic of colours. It's nothing personal, Jamie, but they are difficult to read. Again, you went from red and green, which was a challenge for me, to a light blue and a kind of pale yellow. So
yeah, I'm blaming Ryan. I did say dark blue.
oh well, we'll come we'll come back to that later. Anyway, let's kick this one off and see if Hodgie can get off to a winning start, or if the last of our new boys will be able to put. Oh, and it's Giovanni Elba scoring on his debut, obviously. Oh my goodness, Inzaghi coming straight back.
Goals.
All goals.
This is maybe the goal fest that we've been waiting for all evening. It looks as if Locomotive are making a decent job of it so far.
Gustavo Lopez has been quite involved. Obviously, I've seen Amoroso Elba.
I think he got Gustavo Lopez from Fulchester in a deal. I'm not too sure. I can't remember who went the other way.
He made quite a lot of deals, Locomotive, in fairness, didn't he? I think he was quite active in the window.
That's bunch of chances for Elba. Elba looks a bad deal already, seeing Viduka's chances. Let's have a quick look. Fairly even in terms of chances in the first half. 8 shots for Lettersford and 5 for Locomotive Boston. Relatively sort of even down there. A little bit of a poor performance in the heading department. Action zones, Lettersford with most of the possession, but not overly dominating in that first half. Let's see how the goals came about. Effenberg with a free kick, header by Elba. That's what I was wondering, if Effenberg was going to be one of those dead ball players. I mean, it could just be a fluke, obviously, but I thought that's something that he might bring to the game. And then we've got Sorin, who was questioned whether we should have had Volodenkov up. He obviously went past a couple of players there and crossed in for Inzaghi, so a good goal for him. Let's have a look at and plenty of action in the rest of the half. Let's have a look at Lettersford and the performance of the players. A couple of good key passes. Sorin stands out as having had a good first half, and apart from that, sort of half decent performances scattered across the pitch, but nothing game changing really.
No, obviously Montella and Keane both playing sevens. Nesta with a entertaining first half, but I don't think anyone there is standing out.
Yeah, tend to agree.
Yeah, I mean, not much else to say about it really. I mean, Oliver Dacour, who was one that we spoke about and who definitely had a good season with Phoenix, not gotten off to the best of starts. Let's have a look at down the other end again. I mean,
6s and 7s.
Yeah.
Just, nothing
Loved
good.
a really good
nothing
game
good
from the action, but player ratings not nothing to write home about.
Yeah, well, average performance in terms of quality can obviously lead to sort of interesting results in terms of goals. But let's see what happens in the second half. Boston, can they hold on or can they extend the lead? Obviously, he's got his favourites in there. I mean, there is that thing with Johan Vogel. You can have the Astor Johan Vogel, or you can have the BTEC Johan Vogel as a big. Oh my goodness.
Montella.
That's Leachon, so he's right. Oh, he's left. Okay.
Yeah,
well,
he's
that's
left.
an easy one.
In the comments? I've not seen him.
Sorry?
I was going to say, I would say we could ask Hodgie, but I don't think I've seen him in the comments. So
no, I don't think I've seen him either.
Either way, I don't think would he put Volodenkov in there instead? Maybe I doubt.
No, I think he might consider putting Keane up top and Leachon as the second midfield. But ignore me, just crack on.
Oh right, yeah. Well, this is what's happening. So we'll see. They still got a couple of good chances here at the end. Nope. I don't know. It feels strange after watching so many games on the slightly lower speed. This feels a little bit fast and and confusing almost after we did the playoffs on the.
Fast is painful though.
True, and we're already an hour and a half in, and we've got two games to go, haven't we? So, well, one or two, either way, we'll see.
That game was decent, as I say. I think Locomotive are going to be certainly more happy than Hodgie will be. So yeah, it's decent. Before looking at the ratings, I know we went off 20 minutes early, but I think the question marks are going to be there about Montella playing in a front two. I know it's only one game, and it's certainly not that it can't work, but I think that's going to be playing on Hodgie's mind, which obviously already was going into this game. But yeah, Locomotive are going to be extremely happy, point away from home on their debut against, a strong Leddersford team. I think everyone agrees that, they've got a really strong team. So yeah, he's going to be delighted. Well done, Greavesy.
Yeah, good result for him, and obviously the first of our new managers to pick up a point. Sorin, who we were a little bit critical of, maybe questioning his inclusion, has done well down the left hand side. And so did Filippo Inzaghi. Everyone else kind of okay. Johan Vogel played up a bit in the second half and obviously got his 8. So, but a strong Leddersford performance in the second half. They just couldn't really couldn't get the ball in the back of the net. A kind of a scattering of attempts from various players. Robbie Keane, obviously, such a hit and miss player. I mean, you know yourself, Jamie, from having him.
If he turns, in it, they just frustrate the life out of you. It's just, in all fairness, in season 1, Robbie Keane was consistently good. Season 2, yeah, he did. Obviously, he'd score an hat-trick and then he wouldn't score for a few games, but. But I do love Filippo Inzaghi. I think he's, especially season 1, he's a fantastic goal scorer.
Well, we'll see now. Montella's out, obviously 24 fitness, so it is quite a while. He's going to be out for. Johan Vogel doesn't look too fresh either, so we'll see how that impacts his decision making for the next game. Locomotive Boston. I mean, we didn't speak about probably one of their most important players. Obviously, Cannavaro is going to be very, very important for them, but Fabian Barthez, how important is going to be for Boston? I mean, I know some people occasionally rate him, occasionally don't. He played for Aston, got unhappy and left a couple of seasons ago, and then we didn't see him again. Obviously, how important is Fabian Barthez going to be for that Boston side? Is he one of the few goalkeepers that can put out a consistent performance in the Super League? Or definitely, am I dreaming?
No, he's definitely. I think he's solid. It was a real miss for the Super League after he went. I think there's definitely going to be a reluctance from our side. I think you underthink to see any of the players leave the league. I really don't want to see that happening, unless it's absolutely necessary. Barthez is someone we definitely don't want to be leaving. He's a solid goalkeeper. He's had a really good start here. Yeah. Looking across the team, it maybe not worked as well as he was hoping. He's glad that Elba's off to a flying start, but those two defensive midfielders getting 6s, Contra only getting 6 is a little bit frustrating. Effenberg seemed like he was involved a fair bit. Petit touched the ball quite a lot, just not as effective as that. But again, he's away from home on his debut. Players getting used to playing with each other, so I think he'll take that definitely.
100%.
Yeah, I think Barthez was one of those squad disruption ones, and obviously it was very early on. I don't think there was any real transfer market things going on, but I think he had basically the entire Astor side unhappy with him, so I think that was mainly the reason for it. But anyway, let's crack on. We do have Northern Burn against the Gazelle, so it's Mr. Edwards up against Craig and his his newly renamed or refranchised Gazelle. So a bunch of new franchises here, but I think everyone knows who everyone is. As we look at the and the irony of all ironies, obviously Ian got Crespo after being desperate for Crespo, and then Crespo got injured.
Brilliant.
So so we're not going to see Crespo in action. He's going with Kessman as the lone striker. He's kind of, it looks a little bit like he's taken inspiration. I mean, Jogatos was one of the Panathinaikos Fulchester wide players. He's got some Brota over on the other side. He's played them a little bit more attacking than we're used to seeing them in that MR role. Good or bad, he has a strong squad again, doesn't he, Ian? To be completely honest.
Yeah, Jogatos is the same as what I just said about Contra. They're playing for Locomotive. I don't think Contra's a bad player by any stretch of imagination, but I've never really seen him play as the winger. He's always either a full-back or a wing-back, the same as Joe Gartos. I think he's been massively underrated in the Super League as a wing-back, but it will be interesting to see how he does playing as a winger. As they didn't quite work for Contra there, but Joe Gartos is definitely someone I feel who's always performed the Super League level. So it'd be interesting to see how he does. Kesman up front. I do like Kesman. I think possibly could have gone with Shearer. I think Shearer, especially in season 1, is a goal scorer. Obviously, Crespo, he's got to come back. So he has got plenty of options up front, in fairness.
Mm-hmm.
I think I just picked up on something that Taster said in the comments there. It does look like that, definitely George Astas, Albertini, Van Bommel, Davis, and Gerrard are all defensive midfielders, whereas you sometimes get the attacking midfielders in the centre midfield roles. I'm glad. I'm glad, but Albertini is with one of the people drawn in the kind of random draw at the end of the thing after one of the players missed, and he's gone straight into a starting 11. So, sure that there was quality that we forgot about. Yeah, obviously Sam Brasted was huge for me over the 2 seasons, and Gerrard was huge for Midlothian. So I think they're going to be big players.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll see how it goes for them tonight. It's Fifey with. I was gonna say is it a fair point? It maybe is a fair point. Ian's gone full Southgate. How many defensive players can you squeeze in and disguise it as an attacking lineup? Which is a bit harsh, but perhaps there's some truth. There's maybe some truth in it. We'll see how he gets on against the Gazelles. Let's have a look at
Toldo, a very strong keeper though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, that's it. He obviously had he went for Buffon, didn't he? Sort of halfway. Oh, sorry, after season 1 last season. So he does like a good strong keeper, and it does. Yeah. I think it is important. But let's see what Craig has done. Craig is obviously one of the managers who I say famously who was handed a bit of a of a rough draw in the last iteration. Maybe a bit like yourself, Jamie. He didn't have that many options going forward.
No.
He's got some now. He's got some familiar faces in here. Again, it's a strong lineup.
Let's start Bolton Phoenix. He's got Rob Douglas in there. He's got Dede on the left hand side. He's got Raul and Figo, where I played them last season in that attacking midfield role. He's got from Andreas Valens side. He's got Cafu and Keane in there and Yeremis. He's really put together a solid outfit there. Probably one of my. I look at that lineup and I think that is some team.
What do you think about Agahawa?
Well, I think he's got Cliver injured in the same way.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think he was going to go with.
Young and he isn't great. I probably would have gone with Raul up top and put someone else in at AM.
Yeah.
But I don't think Agahawa's that bad at this point.
I don't think he's bad. I think it's just I agree with you. I would have played him as an AMC if anything, and Raul up top. I probably would have done the same. But Giovanni, because I'm sure he was saying that he's been trialing, and Giovanni was kind of banging them in for him on his personal saves. So I'm quite surprised he hasn't put maybe Giovanni in the AMC and Raul up front, because he seemed to be quite impressed with Giovanni. So that would have been an option as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a strong again. I think there's 14 good teams in the Super League, but obviously this is his first time seeing them properly, and you kind of look at how this is going to go out. I think you're going to ask in a second for a favourite. I think if Gazelles were at home, I'd say it's a home win. With them being away, maybe a score draw.
Yeah, I think score draw as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see what he gets out of Raul and Figo. They were obviously grand final winners last season, but perhaps not with the highest average ratings that we've seen for some AMCs. But sometimes it's all about getting results with your AMCs rather than getting 100 assists with them. I mean, we saw Henrik Larsson being very, very dominant in terms of numbers, and we have seen other AMCs doing very, very well. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they will do particularly well in terms of the overall results. Is Medina Super League quality? Is a question in the comments. He could have played Abel Xavier in there. He could have played Xavier in there maybe, or even Delivio. Maybe. If he's going to go with. I mean, he's young, but.
Yeah. Don't think he's got, as you say, Abel Xavier is one who has done decently for Alf, but he hasn't got really massive options, I would say.
His options are or an old Paulo Sousa maybe as well.
Yeah.
Paulo Sousa's all right. I like him.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. You've obviously already put your predictions out there. Oh, someone needs numbers. With score draws. I think Alf predicts an away win. Jens says favorite slip up 2-1 win to the home side 1-1. NB dominant, Northern Burn dominant, but failing to capitalize. So 1-1 is Mr. Mourinho. Galasek surprises me in the reserves. Yeah, Galasek is a super solid if you play an Ajax game. He's definitely a solid guy there. So, but anyway, we'll see. We'll kick this off, and we'll see who gets off to the better start here.
Gazelle's obviously there's been a lot of love for
Well,
Gazelle.
there's your answer to whether Agahawa can do a job up front. He's in there early, and there's Figo. Oh, Figo with a disallowed goal. Great start for the Gazelles here. 2 goals out in just the first 15 minutes. One of them disallowed. Yeah, a lot of pressure.
I think the Haggis army would have been quite keen on an Northern Burn win here, just to kind of, to dampen the kind of love for Gazelles. But
and that's the end of Aga. So we'll see if Giovanni can do it for him. We will see him in action, obviously.
I'm not seeing Craig either, so
no.
Oh, and then we need to go back to very fast. So there we go.
Did look very dominant there from Gazelles anyway.
I mean,
but it hasn't been. But I thought Gazelles, looking at the bar, were quite dominant then, but clearly not. 1 shot on target, 1 goal.
Yeah, a bit of a Midlothian performance, you could say, almost in that first half. Let's have a look at the action zones. Yeah, fairly sort of evenly spread out. What? Rio Ferdinand sent in Rio Ferdinand with a free kick apparently.
Won against Walter Samuel. I can't believe that.
Yeah, it's one of those things that happen in the Super League. Let's have a look at the performance. Steven Gerrard absolutely dominating, running the show. It's a shame that no one else has really bothered turning up for Northern Burn in the first half. Kessman with a couple of chances, bit of a slight disappointment, I would say, for Northern Burn, that first half performance. I mean, I know it's a strong Gazelle side, but still, Ian was very good at getting 7s and 8s out of his players in the last season. Maybe not getting the results always, but at least he had good solid performances out of them. Doesn't look that way tonight so far.
No.
Van Bommel not doing particularly well either. Let's have a look at the Gazelles and see if it's not been much better for them, has it really? But
few more 7s on the board. Douglas having a good game in net. Obviously, Agahawa's got the goal and gone off injured. But yeah, I don't think either manager would be kind of overly happy with performance.
It's been hopefully about the second half.
Yeah, a bit flat so far. We've not really had a barnstormer as yet, have we?
Not really, no.
I don't think we've had many goals, have we? I think it's a lot of teams so strong in the defensive midfielded areas. That's probably why.
Mm-hmm.
Has any team scored more than 2?
No, I think that's the maximum so far. But we'll see.
5
maybe Northern Burn will come good in the second half.
Yeah.
We'll see how it turns out. Let's kick this one off and see if they would have to get off to a bit of a better start. It's been a bit sloppy almost. You get that feeling from some of the teams. Obviously, they're playing in front of full houses here. It's not like in the the real world where it's all gone a little bit sloppy because there's no fans and no one gives a shit. And all games have 9 goals in them or whatever. But
there's a lot of stuff happening though.
Yeah, it has been a lot of flashing. Giovanni's been a bit. Kesman just hasn't quite got into the game. I haven't really noticed much from him. I said he had 3 shots the first half. I didn't really see that from looking at the action anyway, but it seems to have been a lot happening this half. But
Northern Burner on top.
Yeah, I agree.
Penalty kind of claim there.
Penalty claim turned down, par for the course.
Kesman.
But there is Kessman. Oof, what? Oh my goodness, that is just what the doctor ordered for Ian there, thinking that he was going to get off to a poor start and continue some of the bad luck that he'd had last season, and then he finally gets that goal. Well deserved, obviously.
Definitely deserved that from the commentary, and then looking at the match stats, he probably deserved a little bit more than that.
Cells are going to be extremely happy with that.
spot on from Tato Mourinho there as well. He predicted Northern Burn dominant and a 1-1 draw before the game even kicked off, and obviously he's repeated that now. That definitely came true, that prediction. Let's see how that goal came about. If it was out of the blue, it was Sean Davis, maybe, is that his name?
Yeah.
Sean Davis with a chip pass into the box. There's a hell of a lot of passing here. This is definitely B-Tech from last season with a fair bit of passing, sevens and eights. Surprised to see Sambrata only getting a 6. Should he have pulled them back, both of them, Sambrata and Jagatos, maybe to that DML position? Could that be the key for them, and everything else seems to be working okay?
Possibly, yeah.
Potentially, yeah. Obviously, Zambrota. You look at Zambrota in a similar vein to Giggs. If you look at him on the kind of the editor and in the actual game, he doesn't look like he plays fullback or wing back very well. But when you actually shove him in there and actually see how he performs, it's a whole different story. So, I had him firing for me. I know Jamie had Giggs firing for Dragons. So, sometimes you've got to kind of ignore what the editor and CM Scout and all that saying. You've just got to go with what you think will work. And Zambrata's definitely one who can do a job at fullback and at wing back. And George Ashcroft, that's his best position.
Yeah. And Kessman, obviously not with a whole amount of touch. He's got nearly as many shots as he has passes, but you don't really want to see your sole striker having a bunch of passes, do you? You want to have him having shots on goal, which he has done. 5 shots, 3 on target, gets a goal. That's a 7 for him. Steven Gerrard, strong performance from him. Obviously, the main reason why Midlothian never made the playoffs was Steven Gerrard being out for the last 3 months. They can obviously say whatever they want in terms of what else went wrong there, but I think it was mainly down to Steven Gerrard missing for them for a long period there. So a solid start for Northern Burn, and Ian will probably not be happy overall with the results, but having come back from 1-0 down and equalising right at the end will be quite satisfying, I guess. In terms of Gazelle's performance, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say, in terms of Dragons' performance, Roy Keane, so dominant for Valen all of last season. Didn't do it tonight. Didn't really work out for him. Got a 6. And Giovanni doesn't look like a plausible kind of alternative to Agahawa. He's going to have a Kluivert back, or consider Jardel. I'm not sure why he's so hated. He's a decent goal. He's a little bit like Ebesand. I think he flies under the radar a little bit. He can easily get you a good amount of goals in season 1, I think. But obviously he'll be looking at Kluivert as his main man to come back, wouldn't he?
Yeah, I was a bit of love for Mario Yardell because he had a little cameo career at Bolton Wanderers.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We obviously haven't got a Bolton side in the. Well, we've got a full Chester, but we haven't got a Bolton side that he could turn out for this time around. I think that Panathinaikos got rid of him before Chris Mack took over. I think Parma flogged him to Europe or something. I think that's where he started in the last season. Batistuta hat trick incoming. Well, we'll see about that, won't we?
You got to be confident, don't you?
Jamie, what's the managerial makeup here? What are Wooder's and Duggan's roles? Are they purely assistants? Is one of them the kit man?
No, yeah, we to be honest, we all kind of do it together. We've obviously kind of all have our input. But yeah, we've met up a few times. Obviously, when the original 24 was done, we kind of had a meeting, a Skype call, and kind of said, who we thought was going to be good and not. And then the same last Sunday, we were on Skype while a draw was going on ahead, and we knew kind of what positions we were looking for as the draw was kind of coming out. So yeah, we've kind of all picked it together.
Good to see the actual open and honesty around the managerial setup. I think sometimes we get mixed messages from some of the other clubs with multiple managers or several people involved. So it's good that you have that clarity around it. It's a nice socialist structure there with everyone getting a seat at the table. I'm not sure it's entirely the same down in Somerset for Rob and Joe, but.
One club where there is absolutely no doubt who is in charge is Astor Athletic. And
That's entirely true. But so let's start by having a look at the Asta Athletic side. It's an interesting one. Again, Alf never fails to surprise with the stuff that he comes up with. He's gone with Peruzzi in goal, which I think is a fair choice.
Yeah,
Shevchenko, it's I mean, I was critical of Shevchenko. I still think for me, when if I was to pick one, I mean, I know there are other strikers in the game. If I was to pick a striker, if I make a for fun go and make like a super club and I put like the best striker in there, I put Shevchenko in there. First choice for
yeah.
me.
Mm.
right, third choice for me. I think
Thierry Henry,
between
first choice for you, or
no, because I think Christian Vieri and Gabriel Batistuta are just absolutely incredible at the start of the game.
Mm.
Yeah,
So I mean, yeah, I really do like Shevchenko. Honestly, I just wanted to give you my opinion on who I think the best strikers in the
yeah,
game are. I think Shevchenko's up there, but he's not number one.
Well, we'll see what he does for Asta. Either way, it's an upgrade on Guilherme and Nicolai and the chaps that he had last season, isn't it? Henry and Shevchenko, big upgrade.
yeah. Well, I think Alf did say obviously he really struggled with Shevchenko previously. I think he said I think he's spoken to Tim to get some tips. So I don't know if Tim's maybe given him some positional changes or things that he does with him. But he has said that he spoke to him regarding Shevchenko. So it will be interesting to see if he can do a bit more than he did for him the last time he had him anyway.
And Mehmet Scholl in the captain in central midfield.
Yeah,
Where do we stand
Yeah,
on Mehmet Scholl?
very good player.
he's a good player. He's another kid. He's over 30. He's kind of been omitted from previous Super Leagues, but obviously one of Bayern's best players at the start of the game. I'm really happy to see that there's collusion. Scholl and Lennon, who went in the Super League last time round, are both starting. And obviously Kaluzhny and Lennon, who weren't in the draft at the start and then got drafted last minute and they've both gone straight into the starting 11. So, yeah,
Kaluzhny's not a surprise, is he? Kaluzhny's a quality player.
no, I think Alf definitely got a real good draw at
Yeah,
the kind of the final draft.
yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's again, has he shoehorned his best 11 players into the team, kind of ignoring kind of formations? He's thinking that are these my best 11 players? I'm going to put them in no matter what. He was
Yeah.
obviously speaking a lot about Liverani before tonight. Obviously, he fancies him quite a lot.
Because I think Alpha's always played an AMC, isn't he? He played a lot when he had the two AMCs with the diagonal
Yeah, he
arrows
definitely
going
did.
up. He's played quite a lot with that,
Yeah.
so I don't know
I
whether he
think
just didn't fancy any. I don't know.
Yeah, I think the way that the Super League has changed, obviously as well over the years, I think different tactics works well.
Yeah,
In
of course.
he had a lot of success in the first half of season 5, so the first season I did, or the first season I broadcast. He had a lot of success with that formation, and I
Yeah,
don't think people deliberately set up against it, but I think just the way that the tactics is evolved and the different formations that people used, that became less and less effective. And he obviously saw himself just missing out. Did he miss out on a semi-final place? I think he made it to the playoffs, didn't he?
yeah,
He's made playoffs both seasons, yeah.
Uh-huh. But it's been a little bit hit and miss considering how well he done in previous seasons. So I think he was just maybe a little bit unhappy with that. But either way, it'll be interesting to see how Asta does this season. I think he's got a slightly better squad than he had at his disposal in the last couple of years. So especially in terms of the strikers, which he did struggle to get goals out of Smith and Nicola and Guilherme and Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank and whoever else he had up there. I think it was mainly Brooking who got most of his goals from AMC anyway. Anyway, let's move on to the Dragons, and let's see what you've come up with here, Jamie. Tariba West, you've got Saeed in there, Babel, Bauma, Elias, Boya. It's a strong starting 11. I don't think anyone can argue with that. And Yakubu, Marker, and Constantino on the bench. It's not looking bad. I mean, better, isn't it? You would say there's improvement on what you had at your disposal for the last couple of years.
Oh yeah, 100%. And you look at the bench is pretty strong. We have got options, outside of it as well. So I think you're going to say nearly every team is close to being stronger this time round than the last time. But yeah, massively happy with the squad. I think Khan for me probably season one, one of the best keepers, if not the best on the game. Batistuta, as we said, I think he's definitely within the top 3 of the best strikers on the game in the first season. So yeah, we're more than happy. I think Bowie in that centre midfield. I think Alpha spoke, his Asta team kind of went on a bit of a bad slump when Bowyer broke his leg.
True.
So massively happy. I think Yakubu on the bench is another one. I think we were quite undecided on Elias and Yakubu. That's probably one of the positions we weren't sure on which one to go for. And obviously Constantino on the bench. I think he's a quality striker, so we were toying with maybe going 2 up top, but we've gone first game with this one and looking to leave Batistuta on his own and hopefully grab at least the hat trick.
Yeah. Ryan, what do you make of this Dragons side?
It's solid, isn't it?
Pretty solid.
I look at the back three. I think that's pretty solid. The goalkeeper as well. Really happy that Andres D'Alessandro's getting straight into the team. I know Sloths were sometimes reluctant to pick him. I absolutely love Nedved on the game. Yeah, I really like it. Bit surprised with Baumer playing central. I thought I think maybe one of the reasons you were considering offloading him maybe is because he doesn't really fit your tactic that much. Obviously, one of the best left-sided players on the game. Whether he can do a job in defensive midfield, I'm not certain, especially ahead of people like, he's got Dankovic, who's not made the squad. He's got a few others in the reserves. But yeah, I think it's a really, really solid lineup. I don't think there's any doubts about that. And one which I think, what you're aiming for? Are you aiming for playoffs this season, Jamie?
Yeah, I think everyone's got to aim for playoffs. I said it again on Friday night. I think, before the first season after the draft last time, I think a few clubs spoke about it and said they were aiming for the playoffs. But I think deep down, a few didn't really have the squad. It would be near enough impossible. But I think, this time it is going to be difficult because if, for you, Ryan, I think if you give you any one of the 14 squads, you'd probably say, if I don't get in the playoffs with this squad, I failed.
Yeah.
So if you look at it from that point of view, there are going to be 8 managers who are going to fail. And I think obviously
that's got to be the kind of marker, hasn't it?
Of course it has.
A good season if you get in the playoffs, regardless of how you get in the playoffs.
Yeah.
You've
I
not
think
got there.
The 40 points could be a bit. I think the teams are so close this season. I think there'll be so many tight games. Like, I know it's obviously the first game tonight, but you look at how many, there hasn't been a team that scored more than 2. Most goals of games have been won by 1 goal. I think the teams are so even this time. I think it is going to be, an extremely tough season. I don't think you're going to see the teams where, like last year, you had like an Ards League One, like an 8 or 9 game unbeaten run, and then a similar teams losing 8 or 9 on the bounce. I just don't see it happening this season.
I think if you just notice the comments that a few people, what do you call it?
Having a go at the Bauma on in that position. I mean, you could have played El Guerra in there. You've got Said. He could have played there, and Panucci played at the. I mean, there's options, but you've got to try them. I think, to be fair, I think maybe Scott can correct me, but I think he played Bauma at DMC once or twice, and I don't think he did too badly, to be honest. So we'll see. We'll see. The proof will be in the pudding, to be honest.
Yeah.
We'll see how you get on, and Batistuta obviously be interesting to see if you can get a bunch of goals out of him. Let's just assign some squad numbers here. What is with the colours on these ones tonight? Anyway, Jamie, I'm going to presume you're going to go with away win. Ryan, what do you think? Strong performance from the Dragons. The chairman is obviously a well-documented Dragons supporter, so there's no doubt where my sympathies lie. But from your perspective as co-chairman.
I'm going to go just for a bit of variety. I'll go for a home win.
For a home win, right? Well, let's see.
I think it's the first home win I predicted all night.
Not a score draw. You sure? Right. Let's have a look. Let's kick this one off and see if Astra or Dragons come out winners of this one. Good start from Astra, but straight back at them from Dragons.
This is sort of more like, isn't it? 3 minutes in, it's been a lot of action here.
Yeah. It's more chances than we've had in some whole games previously. It's quite strong Astra pressure though coming forward, but definitely not without chances. The Dragons, and there is Batistuta scoring on his debut. Unlucky for Shevchenko there. Astra obviously doing their best to try and get straight back into this. They've got just a couple of minutes. Oh, and then it was half time. Oof, my goodness, it kind of flew past after that Batistuta goal. It's a good solid performance from Asta, but they're not converting their chances. Obviously, Dragons holding firm at the back. In terms of the distribution of play, it was a little bit even. Sorry, what did you say, Ryan?
Yes, sorry, someone put in the comments it's Batistuta versus Shevchenko, and I mean, so far Batistuta's got a slight lead. He's managed to get the goal where Shevchenko hasn't. We'll see if that continues. Yeah.
Yeah, those colors are nice. Martin says Ian in the comments. Yeah, because you did, you designed them, didn't you? You chose them, so you've made them work. No, I'm only joking. I've seen your trainer design for your special gazelles or whatever they were, Ian, and they are definitely picking up some of these colors here. So I know where you're coming from. Definitely both I think the orange and that kind of turquoisey thing. Anyway, let's see how the goal came about. Batistuta, I wasn't sure. Peruzzi saved but could not hold on to it. So it's Batistuta picking up his own rebound. Good performance from him then, obviously. Peruzzi with an 8, Southgate with an 8, 6s and 7s for the rest of the Asta side. No one really stands out. Mehmet Scholl, the captain. Maybe not the best first half performance from Asta. Not the worst either. We've seen worse first half performances from teams tonight. A little bit disappointing that Guardiola can't tackle, but perhaps not surprising. What did you make of it, Ryan? The Asta first half.
Yeah. No bite, was there?
It's followed a similar theme most of the night, isn't it? To be fair, I don't think we've looked at one team where we thought, oh, they're really kind of playing well. Even teams that have kind of maybe dominated games, the ratings haven't really showed anything. I don't think I've looked at any game where I thought, yeah, if I was manager of that team, I'd be ecstatic.
Well, let's have a look at the Dragons' first half performance. Did any of those numbers actually change? Oh yeah, they did. But anyway, Batistuta, you ecstatic with your first half performance? I mean, Nedved and Batistuta doing well. The rest of them?
It's the two guys that I said before. It's then Oliver Kahn and Batistuta, the two we talked about. They're delivering the goods at the moment. So I can't really be overcritical because, as I just said, I think it's just following the pattern of the night. I don't think there's been many teams who have had a couple of players playing 8s or 9s. It just seems to be 1 or 2, possibly 3 each team. So it's just been a really even occasion on most games so far, which I think, as we talked about, it could be a common theme, this season.
We're 45 minutes in, and one of your co-managers is questioning Bauma's contribution already. So that's going to be that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I know. I'll probably get shouted at in the call after this, don't I?
Oh well,
right, gents. I'm sorry to interrupt. My daughter's going a little bit crazy, so I'm going to have to leave you to finish up if that's okay.
That's okay. we are slightly beyond normal finishing time, but thanks for joining us, Ryan, and we'll catch you again soon.
I'll catch you later, gents. Have a good one, and good luck for the second half, Jamie.
Cheers.
Oh gosh, yeah. Oh, to have small children again. Who wouldn't want that? Right, let's kick off the second half, Jamie, and see if you can hold on to this one. It's obviously. He could have turned his phone off. Right. Well, we'll just go with. Sorry, I'll get back to concentrating on the game here. It's actually been a slightly better second half for you guys, I think.
Yeah.
In terms of the chances that you've created. Oh, but there's Rui Costa. He was a very good player for Asta after he joined from Valen last season, and he's obviously the one that's come in with a goal here. Big chance for you right at the end, maybe, and then goes the other way. Nope. Oof. It stays. It stays the way that it was after that. Rui Costa equalizer.
Yeah.
Let's see how that went in the second half. I mean, even first half, and as you said, all the games have really been fairly even. It's a point away from home for you guys.
I think it's a great start. I think any point away from home in this league is a good point, especially this season. I think Alf is always, someone who's difficult to play against, no matter what team he plays. I think you could give Alf any 11. He's I think he works so hard on his tactics. He's going to come up with anything. Maybe a bit disappointed. Obviously, I say we didn't play great first half. Second half, we didn't have many on target, but we've got a lot more shots on goal. I think up until the point they scored, I thought we were the better side. I thought second
Mhm.
half, the first kind of 25 minutes, but I do feel overall it is a fair result. And it is,
They
we're happy.
definitely, I would agree with that. They definitely came back into it after the goal. I think they
Yeah,
looked the more likely, but
they
you had the
did. Yeah,
first 15-20 definitely of the
yeah.
second half. Let's
I
see
think
how
if
the
we
goal
got the
came
second
about.
goal, it could have been all over then.
Yeah. Um, yeah, Henri headed the ball down for Rui Costa in the area, and he didn't miss from there. Peruzzi getting the man of the match performance, perhaps a little bit generous considering you had 4 shots on target,
Yeah,
but
must have been
but
good shots.
they must have been brilliant shots. Yeah, absolutely. A good solid performance from Asta Athletic as well. You know, if you're looking at it overall, um, not the worst. Shevchenko only getting a 7, but then again, I mean they still had a half decent game, very evenly spread in
Yeah,
terms of the chances. A couple of key passes, and Neil Lennon doing a good job, which he'll be pleased about. I think it was a bit of a surprise last minute inclusion there, but he's done
yeah,
well.
yeah. No, it's a decent second half from Asta. I think they've look at where they were from the first half to the second half. Alf will maybe be a bit disappointed with a point, but they'll be happy with that.
hmm And from your own perspective, so Barma with a yellow and a 6 might not see him in a in a DMC
Yeah,
role next
yeah,
week. De Alessandro, Lee Boyer as well. Lee Boyer, a little bit of an odd one. He was incredibly dominant for Asta until he got injured, and then after that he never really sort of refound
yeah,
that form. He was at like 830 average or something like that,
yeah,
but he's kind of struggled tonight as well. Maybe
yeah.
the 3 AMCs in front of him is kind of, I don't know if they're getting in each other's way a little bit, but I mean overall you pick up a point away from home for a team that made the playoffs last year. It's not a bad one, is it?
No, I'm happy with, more than happy with that. It's just say first game, you don't want to obviously be rash with your decisions and start saying, right, this player's out, that player's out.
hmm
Yeah, it hasn't worked. Obviously, Baumer, obviously a bit disappointed with Bowyer, who I did think in his formation would. I know he's saying about the 3 MCs, but I think when he plays on his own, um, he's obviously a great. He's nobly great in that position. I can see
hmm
Kieran there. Aymar would have looked good instead of the Alessandro. I hope obviously the Kieran or Fife are on next week, because fair play, they've obviously cried like babies in their section I've seen, obviously. So let's get them on and hear their thoughts on teams, because at the end of the day you only say how you feel, and yeah, of course Aymar would be an upgrade on the Alessandro. He'd be an
hmm
upgrade on Seedorf or Nedved, because he's probably one of the best AMCs on the game. So
hmm
I think when you're forgetting to pick one of your best players, you should, it's tough to talk about other teams then as well.
yeah, it's always, well, Fifey knows better than anyone what it's like to come on, obviously, and not have the best of luck, and he's
He
also
always
had
plays the
a couple of
victim,
good
doesn't he?
ones. That's what when you're on the comms, you're going to make an ass of yourself. That's
No,
that's how
at the end of the day, people say what they feel, and I've said that obviously going through this show, it's hard to criticize people with choices, because people do have certain players that do it for them regularly on
hmm
their home saves, and although that doesn't mean it will happen in the Super League, you still you kind of go with players that you trust. But ultimately, everyone on co-coms is going to have a decision. I don't think I've ever really whinged about anyone having a go at my team or whatever, because
No.
that's what people come on co-coms for. That's why we have them on here, to get
Yeah,
their
yeah.
opinions. Otherwise, it's just you going through on your own. So I never take any offense, and when I say how I
No.
feel, it's not
Yeah.
personal. It's just what
No.
I would do if I was the manager of that team.
Exactly, and I mean that's what we have. That's what we have to do, obviously. And then sometimes you're gonna get it's like in real life. Yeah, sometimes you're gonna get it right, sometimes you're gonna get it wrong.
Of course you are.
But either way, I think it was a good first show, but
Yeah,
perhaps
hopefully
a little bit
hopefully it won't put
disappointing.
people off the
And
cold comms now, because the cold comms curse, it didn't start in a defeat, so hopefully it won't put people off, because as I say, it's we've got a draw. But yeah, I think it's a very kind of cagey start to the season.
yeah, a bit low key, bit cagey. I mean, at least we had a couple of away wins, a couple of draws. I think the last couple of seasons it's been very much the home wins that were dominating earlier on, but it looks as if the squads are very evenly spread out in
Yeah,
terms of quality and obviously, I mean, not much point in looking at the table. We can do obviously, but
yeah,
obviously with only one game played, there's not a lot in it. But maybe more interesting to look forward to the fixtures of next week. So you're taking on Bostock Stanley at
yeah,
home, so that's obviously um, a big first shot at 3 points
yeah,
or next shot at 3 points for you guys.
yeah.
Any other games that kind of stand out to you sort of early season?
Um, well, again, they're all pretty tough, but I do like the look of, well, say Gazelles, Leddersford, Haggis, Hunters, Northern Burn, Devils against Dudley Hill will be a cracker. Even Locomotive and Churchtown, well, all of them. To be honest, I think not many teams have disappointed me tonight in terms of being awful. I just think it's been really cagey affairs, and as I say, there's been tight ones. But I do like to look at the Devils and Dudley Hill. I think Devils, they've had a great win tonight and they've got a great squad. But I think Dudley Hill, although they lost, they were extremely unlucky and they did show signs. If they maybe go a little bit more attacking and get more to their attacking players, I think they did show really positive signs tonight.
Yeah, well, it'll definitely be interesting to see if we get as many yellow. I would swap some of the red cards for a few more goals maybe next week, but we'll definitely see. But we're off to a flyer. 2 hours in of
First
season.
night is always going to take a bit more because you're talking about the whole squads, whereas moving forward, you're just maybe going to do a little review, not review the whole kind of squad and transfers, etc.
Yeah. Well, and we obviously end 3 man on, but if it takes 2 hours, it takes 2 hours. We have plenty of 2-hour shows in the beginning. If people want to stick around for them, then they're welcome, and if not, then don't. It's whatever works. We might get some really exciting longer games with plenty to talk about, and then we'll just do that. Either way, thank you very much, Jamie, for joining. It was a pleasure. Glad to keep the tradition going, third season in a row with me. So thanks very much for that. And I hope to speak to you again soon. And good luck on Thursday. Encourage everyone to tune into that, obviously. So good night, guys. And we'll speak to you all soon. Good night.